This conference will now be recorded.
That's good. Right, okay. Discussion of the proposed 23 budget. Agenda item number 1, discussion. Town Manager Stevens, would you please present version 2 for the 23 proposed budget?
Yes, I presented to you in your packages version 2 of the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget. The overall projected budget expenditures of 10 million are calculated at a mill rate of 5.50, which is the same mill rate as last year, assuming a 97.5 collection rate for ad valorem taxes and utilization of reserves in the amount of 0 to balance the budget. Please keep in mind there are several items in the budget that will need to be adjusted as rates are received, such as insurance and retirement rates that are set by FRS. I listed several changes in the budget since version 1. I don't really want to read all of those into the record, but I can if you wish. These are based on consensus direction at the last meeting.
Okay, can I let the record show that Commissioner Rushlick has joined us?
Yes.
If you push this,
At 4.5 minutes.
sorry, if you push this,
Also, the town engineer
Mike.
provided an estimate of 250,000 for the outfall pipe installation between 62 and 66 Harbor Drive North. She is here to speak to you about that. And she also estimated the cost for constructing the seawall at the town's right of way on Hudson Ave at 250 to 350,000. And also 250 to 350,000 to raise the elevation of the seawall on Inlet K Drive. Other than that, today I would like to also bring to your attention that while we were going over this software for the time and attendance, Tyler Technologies let us know that our finance software is no longer going to be supported or maintained after this fiscal year.
Jeez.
So this doesn't leave us much time to switch finance software. I would recommend doing the upgrade to their next version, which is Encode, that several municipalities use and say they have good luck with that. So the cost would be approximately $40,000 for that software, and then the maintenance cost per year would be around $18,000.
18,000.
18,000 a year to maintain it?
Yeah,
Maintain.
that's
What do they
for,
maintain it?
it's for maintenance and support of the software. So anytime we have a question or something comes up, we call, that's support.
Does that include any upgrades?
The maintenance are
insanity.
upgrades.
Yeah, okay, so
Anytime there's
upgrades
an
are included.
upgrade, yes, it's all included.
So that's on top of the software,
40,000.
Yeah,
which would be an additional 40,000,
Right.
another 18
the
per year.
software purchase is 40,000 and then
Can you get a
maintenance
sheet
is
of what that
18.
18 gives us? That
It's
sounds
also
nuts.
hosting.
Oh, and hosting,
Also
sorry.
hosting, because the new finance software does not allow for you to have your own on-site server to host it. It is done through their platform remotely,
Right.
which is obviously positive and negative because it can reduce the amount of cost associated with our IT refreshes from year to year, because we don't now have to have a dedicated server that's used for finance management. So there are some pros and cons to that. It also gives us the ability to have the redundancy factor in the event something happens here locally, our data's not corrupted or, damaged in any way.
Where are they?
Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Grand Rapids.
This is so weird. It's like in stereo.
What happened?
It's like in
The
stereo. You
audio,
can't hear
the new
me.
audio.
We heard Gene.
You can turn down your speaker volume on your face, then incoming won't
I'm gonna plug in.
stereo you.
Tracy, the current Tyler includes general
And
ledger,
use on amplifier.
payroll, accounts payable, purchase orders, capital assets, accounts receivable, and cash receipts.
Mhm.
So it's like 7 programs into one.
Right.
So this new one, will that also include all
Yes.
7 programs?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So how much do we currently spend maintaining, upgrading, boosting?
About 8,000 per year.
Okay.
But that's hosted on site.
So there's other costs there, like the server refreshes that we don't have broken out that just relate to finance, but there are other costs in there that we don't include in that 8,000.
I know we haven't had an opportunity, but does this sound somewhere in the norm for that kind of maintenance, for everything that's included, IT-wise? For a program that's going to do, I mean, obviously it does get much more important than the whole financial deal, I get that. But does that sound,
IT-wise, the average contracts for support are usually about 1/3 the cost of the software.
okay,
So.
that
you're
yearly,
not-
like a yearly?
Yeah, you're
No,
not
this one's
really
half.
that far, you're really not that far from it being that it's hosted.
Right, well, that's the extra plus here, is they are doing that effort there. Wow.
So you did allude to the fact that we pay 8,000 now, but that doesn't include additional
Yeah, a
fees.
server-
I mean, do we come anywhere close to the
A server
8,000?
license
Above the
alone,
8,000?
just for the license, is about $3,000.
Okay, so now we're up to 11.
So now you're up to
Mhm.
11, and that doesn't include any of the man hours that our IT company is then used every time we have an issue with the server not working. We have to call them and they bill us for all of those hours. So honestly, I don't think you're that far off from what you're probably paying now if you had that broken into specifically related to finance only type software issues. It's not broken down that way because the town's IT budget has never been that defined. But I honestly, you're probably looking at about a $3,000 or $4,000 a year increase from what you're paying now, and they're hosting it.
All right.
But we still retain the server then?
We retain the server for the data that we have on site currently, but we would not have a server on site for the software moving forward. That would be completely hosted by them.
But we would still have to pay our $3,000 license
No, that's all included
Inclusive.
in that annual maintenance.
So what I'm saying is if we retain, if we still have a server, do we still have a server here in the building that we're using
would
for
not.
other things
We
other than the finance?
Well, no, because each server that has a task, for example, the law enforcement software is run on a separate server, that's a separate $2,500. So for the finance software, that's its own server.
But I think Martin's question is, if we go to the new system, do we still need to keep the old system
We would.
active?
We would not need to. All of our data that's currently on our server now would transfer to the new system.
Okay, so we would actually physically really save $3,000 by not having to pay for that license.
Correct.
Sticker shock is the deal. So
No,
I'll
that
be-
is true. I will say, though, that we have had a number of issues with the finance software over the last several years. Tracy can probably confirm that. From an IT perspective, we've had issues with the software because of the age of the software. It's been in place, how long, Gene? 15 years?
1999.
So 23 years.
Wow.
3 years.
And for us to have that one software package for that many years is, honestly, I'm surprised that it's
We've
still
gotten
working.
lucky.
Absolutely.
So Tracy, are you proposing that we put it in this year's budget so we're ready for next year when it goes offline?
No, I think October 1st, they said that as long as we start October 1st, we'll be fine.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but October 1st of 2022?
Yes.
So in other words, in this budget?
This budget
This one.
that
That's
we're
what I'm
proposing
asking.
now,
Yeah.
yes.
So one of the things that I seem to hit town hall every time poor Jean's trying to do payroll. And it usually takes her the better part of 3 days. And I just feel like, I mean, with the software availability and pushes of buttons, that just seems so antiquated. I mean, number one, we're always short staffed, so it would hopefully free up some time. And number two, it would create some checks and balances so you don't have to look at time cards and stuff like that. I mean, I think that, although it's a sticker shock, this is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, it's kind of the backbone of running the town.
We can avoid not having the software because the software is
Right.
obsolete
Exactly.
in a few months, so
And,
that's not the
unless we
question.
back up
The
a truck
question
full
is-
of pennies and start handing them out,
Yeah.
that way, so,
Right. Antiquated, I think, is probably a good word.
yes. I don't like to use that word because it's very close to
To your
me,
heart.
but yes.
All right.
So do we have a consensus to put this in the budget?
I would agree. Martin, where do you?
Have we
go?
checked on any other type of software, or are we just sticking with Tyler Technologies?
Well, I don't think we vetted any other companies. The reason why we looked at Tyler Technologies is because that's the company that we've been using for the last 23 years. So we know that the data that we have in our current software system
Can we transfer?
can migrate to the new software system without having to then hire an integrator to do a third-party integration. So it just seemed kind of like to be honest with you, the kind of the logical thought process to see whether even there was entertainment from the commission to, go
And
that direction.
staying with the same vendor too will help us and with training, Jean and myself and whoever else is gonna be using it. It'll be an easier transition because we already know their product.
So if somebody new bought their product, what would they be paying? And if somebody new, they'd be paying, went to Tyler Technologies and got the bid and it was $40,000, would they be paying the same $18,000 a year?
They would probably be paying, well, as far as the 18,000, I'm not sure. As far as the 40,000, which is the cost to upgrade, I'm assuming, and I don't know this for sure, I'm assuming it would cost more for a new company because this is an upgrade for us.
Well, the reason I'm saying is that, so during the negotiation, which I presume there was some, wouldn't you say you've been doing it for 23 years, you guys can't give us a better deal on the $18,000 per year maintenance? I mean, that's over $2,000 a month. Are you telling me they're doing that much work for over $2,000 a month? I mean, almost $24,000 a year, I mean, come on.
Can we
$18,000 a
tentatively
year?
have consensus on the
1,200.
need for it and then ask that you guys go back and kind of squeeze them a little?
We can try. We tried to squeeze them on the time and attendance
Right.
software and the building permit software
Yeah.
though too.
I'm going
it's on the
to,
building
They pretty
permit
much
software, too?
said that the costs are the costs.
cost, right.
What about, going back to, we have this auditor that we deal with for many, many years.
Mhm.
I'm sure he runs into different kinds of software.
He does, yes.
And maybe reach out to him and ask him if he
Already
has
done.
suggestions
Already
for
done.
other.
He suggests that we go to Encode.
So can we look for a consensus here?
I mean, consensus is
forward?
we need to do it.
Yep.
The question
We
is,
good?
can we squeeze a little bit more out of it?
All right, I think
We
we have
need to add it
consensus.
into the budget no matter what.
Right.
I mean, that's
It's gonna have to be done,
the bottom
so
line.
I think you have consensus to move forward here. I mean, if you can squeeze, by all means, but it sounds like you've already tried.
We have tried. Chief and I together had the conversations with them.
I have no doubt.
Well, I mean, we're sole sourcing, so they should be a little bit more amenable to us. I mean,
You'd like to
We'll
think.
Give you 2
continue to do what
days.
we can.
Yeah, do what you can. All right.
I'm good.
Okay, if you don't mind, if we could begin with
Lisa?
the town engineer and Public Works, so they can be on their way, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Just start.
Come on up,
I don't have
Mr.
the
Pepe.
book, but I don't have your book.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody.
So,
Here,
I
Lisa,
met with, it's okay.
you got your 2 items?
Yeah, if I'm missing something, you let me know. You asked me to go back and look at the 2 areas, Hudson Avenue at the end and Inlet K seawalls, both seawalls. So I've been speaking to Ed O'Leary from Murray Logan. Murray Logan is the man. They just completed the bridge repairs for Island Drive, Sable Island, and Inlet K. And so I met with Ed physically out there in both areas. So kind of good news and bad news. The good news is we took a look at Inlet K, which we know that was capped on an old seawall, just to keep the Band-Aid on it. When we walked it, we did see that there is some erosion, so it's getting older, just like we all are.
thanks.
However, Ed did say that he truly believes that this is not serious, that we would have to put it in this year's budget. He does believe that in the next 4 to 5 years. So we've kept this in the budget, and so we can do that again. It doesn't need to be done immediately. So that's good news on Inlet K.
Is that for repair
Well, so.
or is it for replacement?
So
The
his-
reason why- Here's the reason why I'm asking, because if right now, as it is not urgent, if we can repair it for X instead of in 4 years having to replace it for X times God knows what, then we
Right.
might be looking at this differently than.
Well, that's a great question. And so what we could do in the next 12 to 24 months is bring in someone like a geotechnical engineer to do some soil, some borings, and have some more evaluation done, because we didn't have a lot of time to come back to you all and analyze it a little further. I mean, Ed, who's been doing this for at least 30 years, is saying it doesn't look that bad to him. He's seen a lot worse, and he would tell me if there was something that needed to be done immediately. So we could do a little bit of due diligence. That doesn't cost a lot of money.
I'm trying to get away from the constantly trying to have to fix things immediately because we waited too long.
Right, I mean, I can get another opinion, but like, he's the man who does the actual construction, and he did not see an urgent issue. There was one area where it's starting to erode, But it didn't appear to be that way all
Is
the,
that
all
what you
the
mean, when
way.
you say eroding, you mean undermining? or you mean-
Undermining, like there's a little bit of a sinkhole on the south side, but we didn't see it we walked it and it didn't appear to be anything like that, the rest of the seawall.
But
And
so to Martin's point though, is there anything that we can do to help that one specific area? Because that may extend the overall life from 4 to 5 years to 6 to 8
Right,
years.
so he's saying that we should maintain that, we should put some fill back in there,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean, I mean, eventually the fill's the same thing's
Yeah.
gonna happen, but it's
It's not going away.
it's not going away, but he didn't see it as something that's urgent.
Right.
So,
Now, Lisa, we also talked about raising that seawall too, because it's been breached several times during hurricanes.
right,
raise the
so,
elevation.
so at first we were not Billy. Billy knows more than I do, because he's out here all the time with respect to this, that the whole, you can't just keep putting a cap on top of
Right.
something that's old. And so, Ed suggested that the next go round, you should not be putting a cap on top of a cap, which is on top of an old wall. So I did ask him, what's the limit, can you just, the commission wants to know the linear footage cost, what's the linear footage cost? He told me $3,500 a linear foot.
Whew.
Is for like new wall, concrete.
Yep.
For new.
Yeah. I mean,
And that
that's
includes
what he told me.
replacing the old one?
I said, just give me a number, because the commission's
Right.
asking me for a number,
It's just
and he
throws
told
out
me
numbers.
3,500 a linear foot, so I almost like fell down.
But that's a lot of work inclusive. That's pulling.
Yeah, I
Sure,
mean, he didn't want to say anything, nobody likes to say, give me a number,
Right.
Yeah.
especially today's day. We
You
can't
wanna be-
even get concrete
Doesn't want to
right
be
now.
held to it. Yeah.
So.
So how many feet is that, Lisa, approximately, do you think?
Well, Inlet K is on
Yeah.
both sides, so, I mean, it's a lot.
A lot.
I mean, it could be like 200 linear feet. It's probably 3 times what Hudson is.
Mhm.
Well, it says
So-
here it's 250 to 350. So
So I left that
3,500.
price the same because I didn't.
No, I'm saying divide 3,500 in, you have your answer.
Oh, well,
No, because this is not based on
No, I
3,500.
left that number in there. I did not change Inlet K's number. What I did do though is I lowered Hudson's number, and I wanted to tell you how we
Okay.
came
So-
up with
right.
Hudson's
Can I ask
number.
one question on Inlet K?
Mhm.
So did you drive there? Well, Billy must have, when the high tide, high wind, high moon, high everything.
Right,
And
it goes
to
over
the-
the top.
To the east of the bridge was grass that was overflowed onto the road. So was the seawall at the lake side of the grass? Because it didn't look like there's any seawall there. It just looked like it was a berm. You know what I'm talking?
Oh, there is a seawall there.
There's a seawall there.
There's a
There's a seawall.
seawall beneath the
Mhm.
Right there at
grass,
the edge of the grass, both
Mhm.
sides, there's
Okay.
seawall on.
and the grass runs uphill from there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right, so that was the recommendation from Ed, okay, so that's, in my
So-
mind, that's good news.
So how much would we need a budget to put in just to repair this sinking area?
Well, I mean, that would just be, maybe a truck, which is 10 yards of fill.
You're just talking the fill for the
Just that
sinkhole
one
area. Go back
just
to the
because you don't
sinkhole
want
area.
to leave a little hole behind a seawall if
What
some
about
kid
grouting
walks
the
by.
plates and all that from the outside?
Okay.
Can we put that in there too?
No. We don't need, I mean, Inlet K right now is fine. And so sometimes when you have the trifecta, we call it the trifecta, the wind, the tide, the king tide, and the moon.
Probably something else.
High
No,
tide,
it's because the outlet's there and the outlet can't be used because the intercoastal's too high. So it
Yeah,
just
so
bubbles
sometimes
up.
it does
That's
come
only happened
over.
once in 3 years, that
They
grass.
had
being
a
cut.
couple problems on Inlet K.
There was the
because I
one
tried-
major
But we
September.
did improvements on Inlet K. We
Yeah.
just did some improvements like 2 years ago, and we put in an extra basin. I think we're okay for the most part,
But you-
right?
Yeah, we slipped line to man, put in
Right.
2 new basins.
Basins, yeah.
For drainage.
So I think we're good there.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
so
the good news. What's the
that's
bad
good
news?
I mean, so Hudson
I agree.
Hudson has good news also.
Okay.
Because the
Alright.
2 private walls on either side are concrete slabs, batter piles, very expensive. And that type of wall you need when you're docking, having the ability to dock boats. Ed said the town is not docking anything at the end of Hudson. And so therefore, you don't need to come in with a concrete wall at $3,500 a linear foot. He suggested either aluminum or vinyl sheet piles with a cap.
Sheet piles. Vinyl
Sheet
sheets?
piles, yep.
Wow.
So that's how that cost got lowered. However, just keep in mind that there's other issues out on Hudson. One is that the 2 private properties did not extend their wall to their property corner. They fell short. So we might have to go on their property to connect from their wall to us.
Right.
So that might need some surveying and it might need an easement. No problem, we can do that, but I just want to make you aware of it.
Right.
So you keep saying that, and I'm sorry, I'm just looking at Tracy's item number 1. So you said that it was lowered now. What is it lowered to?
Oh, it was 400, I believe, and I lowered it to 250,000.
Okay.
Okay.
The other issue, just to keep in mind also, is that there's mangroves there. So, so permitting becomes complicated. We may be able to build a wall around it, which would not make it a straight wall to minimize. We always try to minimize, avoid, minimize, mitigate, right? So you always try to avoid first. And so if we can avoid the mangroves, that'll help us in the permitting process, because that could take a long time. So that price was lower.
Okay.
And then,
Is there, I'm spitballing here, but is there room to actually dock something on Hudson?
well, if we're doing what we're proposing, no.
So maybe we can rent that space.
Well, then you're talking about,
It's a,
You can't rent docks in Ocean.
We can?
just don't tell anybody.
Even though there's people that are doing it.
Change that.
yeah, I mean,
So not
you would have to change the methodology of putting in that wall.
Right.
Then
Everything
you're
would
talking
change.
3,500 a linear foot at a minimum.
Plus it's a,
We would have to we can't avoid, so we'd have to minimize, and we can't minimize because you would want to make it straight, right? A nice, pretty concrete
plus
wall, right?
it's a wake zone.
Then you'd have to
Right.
mitigate, and it's a wake zone, right?
Yeah.
You'd have to mitigate
It's not happening.
whatever you destroy mangrove wise, there'll be,
We just bought all that land over here, why
multiplier
can't we mitigate
to
that? Heck,
mitigate.
you got plenty of land to mitigate, what are you talking about? Like when the mangroves on my E-line over here.
Take back the spitball.
Well, you know, the thing is, like you said, the
Yeah.
vinyl wall, the whole point we're doing is just to raise the wall, right?
Well, there's nothing there except for
Yeah.
like
It's
a
riprap.
rubble, riprap, right?
Strip wrap, I got it.
Right.
I'm saying, but what's our point in doing all this right now? Just to raise the wall to mitigate the high tide and king tide? Is that where we're going with this?
Well, because the riprap rubble is starting to
It's
fall
not doing its
off.
job.
Over time,
And Jeff,
that
we also,
rubble's is
we got
falling into
seawalls
the
on either
water.
side for
Yeah.
the first time.
No, I
Right.
believe me, I've been down there, I drive by the thing.
So it
1,000
becomes
times
Yeah.
a day.
No, we
Thing
gotta
is,
do something.
I get it, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page of why we're doing it first. We're doing it because the seawall, sometimes riprap rubble, at some point in time, might just fall right
I
into the.
think that it probably moves currently.
Sooner
I
rather
don't
than
think it
later,
moves
for
as much as
sure.
it used to because it's a no wake zone now. It has been an own wake zone now for 3 years.
Oh, it's a no wake
It's a
zone?
no wake
No,
zone
no,
there.
it's
wake.
So
Oh, it's a
that
wake.
Wait, Jeff.
it has reduced,
I thought-
it is a no,
No,
Wake zone
at the
there.
banana boat,
please,
when you get,
please. I drive my boat there 3 times a week from where that house, right after that riprap, is
So-
no
Oh,
wake
that's
zone.
the condo on the west side claims no wake zone, but they have no authority.
No, you look at this, okay. I don't know,
Regardless,
I'll
let's
take you on
go
a
back
boat
to
ride.
our riprap problem
Either way.
is it's moving, we need to move forward on this. Keep going, Lisa.
Well, so I'm saying out of the two of them, Hudson, you should move forward
More of a
with.
priority.
You know, the direction from you guys was to, out of these kick the can jobs, the
Mhm.
two of them that were important was Inlet K and Hudson. I'm
Right.
coming to tell you that Hudson would be the one to focus on, not Inlet K.
Well, yeah, and the
Okay.
reason why when we talked about it was because the house to the north had just been built and they just built a seawall. And it was a good idea to connect the two
Right.
seawalls. That was the whole point.
Right.
Because now we have two seawalls to connect to.
So
Before we
on
did not.
Right, so on a federal level standpoint, to take that one step further, because we just did this on the beach. The only area that we could connect our wall was the one where there was two seawalls already
Mhm.
there. It's called filling in the gap. It's allows us to get a permit to fill in the gap.
Yeah, so
So what is it, Edith Street, or what's the other street, the one that the seawall?
Anna.
Was it Anna?
Right,
Mhm.
we're in between them.
We could do Anna, but we couldn't do Edith because the gentleman to the north didn't have a seawall.
Right.
So that's why that didn't happen.
Right, now we've got two seawalls
At Hudson.
at Hudson,
So
which
we
is what
can
we're talking
force
about.
the issue to get a federal permit,
Like I said, it
or
shows
state
on,
permit, federal, state.
it shows on your sheet here that you didn't want to do that until the next proposed budget in 23-24 though, correct?
Where are you at, Tracy?
Yeah,
I thought I moved it, I don't know. I thought I moved it up.
Are you under capital? Where are you under, Tracy?
On Lisa's sheet here, yeah, it's under capital tab, and then Lisa's sheet looks like this.
So I didn't make that number, I'm sorry, I didn't make that this fiscal year?
No, next,
yeah, I thought it said next.
what you moved to
Oh, I know
this
why.
fiscal year's is Harbor
Because
Drive,
I didn't want to put.
drainage, right, too much.
So we moved Harbor Drive
Right,
north up,
What number are we?
yes,
and Hudson the following year.
correct.
Yes, thank you.
Well, the other thing on Hudson, remember, is a lot of the water's coming in from the north, which the FDOT said they are going to fix, but haven't given us a timetable. If
You're
you,
talking about Hudson?
did I say Harbor? I meant
Yeah.
Hudson. Yeah, if you stand on Hudson during one of these events,
I know, the water comes from the
it's a
ponds.
stream coming from the north,
They're not admitting that they're at
responsible.
fault.
We have video though, so hopefully
Yeah,
they're,
we just sent them the video.
yeah.
So, okay, so that, we didn't want to load everything in this fiscal year. So what we did was, we've gotten a very good, positive, I don't know if we've gotten final approval, but positive thoughts from two landowners at the end of Harbor Drive North that are willing to give us each a
Oh, right.
5-foot drainage easement. And if they both give us a 5-foot drainage easement, we have 10 feet. And that'll give us the ability to put in a catch basin, at least a catch basin. We're thinking a little bit more down the road because the plat for that area only has one easement, mid-block drainage easement. There is nothing to the west of mid-block, except for what people are doing on their own.
What do you mean, in the turnaround, there is no easement for anything?
No.
There's no
No.
catch basin, nothing?
No,
No,
nothing.
Where does it drain to?
And there's a
Oh, right.
question. There's the issue.
Go to Dave's house.
Yeah.
so we're getting very close. It's exciting because
Right.
we usually get one person, not the other. Now
Right.
we're getting two people. One house is going under construction.
Jump on it.
And the other one is a woman who's been there for like 3 decades and she's up to here with the water just sitting in her driveway with nowhere to go. So I think we're getting pretty close. We can get both of them, that's a 10-foot drainage easement. So we want to jump on that and put in and start designing some catch basins upstream and an outfall pipe. While that job's under construction, we can put the pipe in, hopefully, kind of time it
Right.
to save money, because it'll be under construction at the same time. We're not tearing up walls and fences and
Mhm.
somebody's beautiful hedge. It'll all be torn out, so it's a good time to put a pipe in.
Can you actually get a permit for an outfall?
It's not easy, but we can do it. I mean, we'll have to get a permit through the South Florida Water Management District, maybe the Army Corps, I'm not sure, the DEP. We haven't done this, and we have not done this in a long time, because there has to be some pre-treatment beforehand, meaning some water quality before
Filter.
the water discharges into the intercoastal.
But the new catch basins have that.
So you would have to, if you go back to the old report for Inlet K, he
Yeah.
talks about a pollution divider or separator. We would have to put in one of those. So we can't buy the 2x3 that we
But is that,
see inlet like we used to for like $1,200.
Right.
is that device included in your estimate?
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
So we put this one at the top at 249,000 approximately. I mean, it's just an opinion of cost. And this one needs to be done now because the gentleman who's developing the property is asking that it be done at the same time because the house is being demolished and then there's gonna be a new house. So let's do it now while there's nothing there. Now meaning like in the next year.
ASAP.
So this is number 12 and 13 on your report, correct?
No, number 5.
Number 5, okay, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Towards the end. Okay.
So then what is number 13? Is that not the same thing that we're talking about now?
Harbor Drive North mid-block is different than the Harbor Drive cul-de-sac area. So the Harbor Drive North mid-block is where she was saying that we currently do have an easement in the mid-block.
Well, it says no easement, that's why I'm a little confused.
Well, there's only one
yeah,
easement mid-block. There's one easement mid-block.
In the middle
There's
of it.
nothing else on the whole entire street.
Which one is that? Mid-block.
It's.
I don't have the plat in front of me. There's only 2 easements on the entire subdivision, Harbor Drive North and Harbor Drive South, there's only 2 easements.
Okay.
So where is it? I don't see it anywhere. I see a yellow on the cul-de-sac.
I found your old maps.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it doesn't show it on there because it's too little. It's too little, the plan's too little. But it's like in here. There's one here and there's like one here. There's nothing in here, nothing in here. So these 2 cul-de-sacs we've been putting in the budget to do some type of drainage.
So the request that she's talking about now for the drainage in the cul-de-sac, that is currently not listed in the numbers of your budget. We didn't put it in. It's on Lisa's list as a project, but we did not include it in our budget figures yet.
And that's
if
because
you-
we didn't want to come before you and say, well, we hope to get this other person to give us 5 feet. I mean,
Mhm.
So to sum this up, you're trying to do Harbor Drive North for approximately $250,000 this fiscal, and then take the others and push them to next fiscal or further. Is that summing
right,
up?
so.
With one load of fill going in Inlet K now,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
is cheap,
Which is
Yeah,
cheap,
that's
yeah.
right?
Which
Is
is
that what we're saying?
inexpensive. Yeah.
Okay.
So this one would be this fiscal year coming up.
Right.
Next fiscal year could be Hudson, and the following one could be Inlet.
So if you have consensus, we'll add it to your next version of your budget for 250,000 in the capital. And then if we do not, for some reason, get an easement over the next year, then that 250 will stay in your
Right.
reserves until we get an easement.
But the sooner we move forward while the easements are dangling there, the better it is versus changing hands and people changing their minds.
Well, the fact that it's under construction might,
Right.
is, so we don't have to be replacing
Right, the
everything.
gentleman who has the house that's under construction, he's spending a lot of money. I mean, this is him
His-
saying to us.
Right.
he would like to see some kind of relief. So that was his reasoning. The woman next to him said she's been here for about 30 years. I don't know. I can't
No,
remember.
no,
No.
been there 30 years. The one next to the house on the construction on the left?
Is,
No, forget no.
she's.
There's a guy before that, built that house and redid it. She's only been there about 20 years.
Okay.
Shooter.
No, I mean,
maybe
the people tell you, well, a bunch of, but they're complaining that they rent that house out and the people have to, if the water stays in their driveway, that's what she's complaining
That's
about.
what
She's
she's-
a doctor.
right.
that's
Yes,
surgeon over
she's a
at Bethesda,
doctor.
or
Her and
whatever
a
it is.
friend came, and then they took some time to think about it, and then they came back apparently and called and said that she was interested in it too. Because she can't solve this herself.
Right.
I mean, we did explain to her that she can solve this herself and put a catch basin on her property and get a permit from the Army Corps and the DEP and South Florida Water Management at her cost and her maintenance forever. You know, we did go through the alternatives to her.
What would you have
Okay,
chosen?
so, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the way to get her on our side.
Yeah.
So we need a consensus that's what we're looking for now to move forward, right?
To add it to the budget, right?
Yes.
Yes,
To add
for
this
now.
one to the
Yeah.
current budget.
Harbor Drive North. Yes,
Harbor Drive
consensus.
So
Quarter million dollars.
I'm giving tentative consensus because
Mm-hmm.
what I always look at when we're doing trade-offs, so we're flush. We've got 400 and some odd dollars that either we can put in contingency, it'll drop into reserves or whatever. So of that 450, there's also other things that we would like to add back in, like the payroll. So we've got $80,000 of payroll upgrade. Now we've got 250 of this, 250 of that. I mean, that 450
Gone
goes
already.
really quick. So I just want to say, I'm giving you tentative consensus because if we get, and Steve's always really good, he calculates, he draws two lines, things that we're adding to the budget and things that we're not adding to the budget. So if it gets down to, we have to decide between the town hall generator or Harbor Drive North cul-de-sac, I'm going for the town hall generator. So that's the only reason I'm giving you that asterisk on.
Okay, so we'll get a
Yes.
tentative
Yes.
consensus. Jeff?
I mean, I'm not against it theoretically, it's
Yeah.
just.
I
just
am,
balance
right,
move
I am
forward.
I am exactly in your corner on that, because I think that the town could actually utilize some of the drains on the street that are already there without, going through this easement process, but just actually utilizing the one that's in front of the one house, because the water actually drains east,
Yeah.
and then it drains west at the, the road is weird. In fact, the middle of the road is actually a big dip. That's where everybody floods out.
Right.
It's not at the end.
You're right.
It's right in the middle.
But just remember, Jeff, that pipe is too small.
I understand it. I
The one
get it.
that's
But
there.
see,
But if we have an
I
easement
guess what my
on it-
point is, now, I
Yeah.
don't want to make my neighbors angry, but we're doing all this money for two houses. Because that cul-de-sac does not stay wet for long, because once it fills up to a certain amount, it goes that way toward the big bowl in the street.
And if we need to upgrade, where we have an easement, an existing easement on that pipe, in the
But-
middle of the road, if we have to upgrade that to a bigger pipe, that might be money better spent than trying to dig a whole new pipe, in theory.
I'm just saying that, I understand your point, which is a very good point about they're doing a new house. It'd be a great idea to put one in there, but what is it going to serve, what purpose will it serve? Now, when you go down there, does it flood? Yes, but where does it flood the most? The center of the road.
And
I
is
mean,
there,
literally, there's a dip in the road and it gets almost 2 feet.
is there a pipe in those?
And there's an easement up there. Now,
There's
the
an easement.
Dave Hutch's pipe is one, literally drains most of the road. That little basin he's got there drains 90% of all the water that goes off of that road.
But that is not a recognized.
And it's not, it's a,
system.
yeah. He just had it fixed too, so now it's actually working even better now. Because the town wouldn't, give him a backflow pipe, so, whatever it is. But,
Right, there's
having
folks
said all
on
that,
there's
are we gonna
folks
spend
on that
$450,000
road
for two houses?
that have done their
Or are we gonna do the
own.
general? Or do we look
Good.
and see what we can do with where the easement is, maybe put a bigger pipe through there, and where that house is that where it's gonna serve the best purpose? To where that water's gonna run off? You know which house I'm talking about, right?
No, but I mean,
Where the deepest water gets?
I know I can picture where the easement is, okay, which is, I know that's bizarre, but as an
Well, you know
engineer,
where-
I know where
You
the
guys know where
easement
Dave Hutchinson lives, right?
Mhm.
Right next door, right? That's where the water gets the deepest. In fact, the original owner of that house, who built his house now at 8, used to put sandbags in front of his door because the water would go into his house. So there's where the low point is.
So something needs to be done on that road.
Right.
It
Whether
does.
it's between these two houses or.
Exactly.
I'm just worried
Or a
about
connection mid-block, to the mid-block and then redo the mid, now I don't know what's there, if there's a wall, a hedge,
and you're gonna do it to the intercoastal, or you're gonna do it, which side, where are you gonna put the pipe to?
Well,
Intercoastal side or to
when it
the,
was those two houses, we were just going straight out the intercoastal.
all right, so I'm saying, okay.
Yeah,
But see, on the other side is the swamp.
is the swamp, which makes,
And believe it or not, that water, when it's at those king tides, makes it all the way up to the last house on the left. There's water behind there. There's actually a foot of water. All the way to where you come around the corner,
It's down.
where Vinnie Grucci lives.
Wow.
So the thing is, it's really wet back there, but where the greatest, I'm just looking at where can we spend the money for the greatest good that can happen to the street? I think
For the
the
entire
idea of
street.
doing it on the cul-de-sac is, unless you change somehow the way the road is crowned and the rate is.
well, so what we were gonna do is not just put one catch basin. Because because we can connect other catch basins, so we were gonna connect a few other catch basins.
Well, could we, so to that point, so that's not,
So
what
I
we
put
talked
4
about.
catch basins on here.
and where are they
4.
go? Where do they go?
They'll go between mid-block and the cul-de-sac.
Is mid-block the dip that
Yeah,
Jeff's talking
that's
about?
what
So
he's
you're gonna
talking
go,
about.
so, see, it just said 1, I didn't, you see
Right.
the 4 catch basins.
Well,
Did you guys
I-
hear 4 catch basins?
Well,
No.
I put 4 tiny, smaller ones that aren't that big pollution.
No, that's
control.
great, but that being, then I wouldn't have went through this whole process.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I know that you're putting 4 catch basins and they're going up halfway up the street, you just solved the whole problem.
Okay,
And yeah.
So that's,
item, do you have this?
No, I mean,
I-
I don't see any, there's no drawing or anything I can see.
No, well,
where's the
because
catch
we
basin?
didn't design it. Okay, so
But there are
I-
4 catch basins?
4 small catch basins, okay, and 1 pollution control device. Somebody asked, is that on there? This is on.
yes.
it's on there.
And I think the main thing is to make sure after this meeting is that the catch basin is in the pond that Jeff's referring to. That's the whole game.
Well, you've got 4 of them, that's what you probably did, right? You probably designed it right,
Well,
you didn't tell
connected
me, so I went
probably.
through all this conversation, I feel like, yeah, it's wasted a bunch of time.
Yeah, but I don't want to see the catch basin 3 feet away from where you want it, Jeff.
You ever see a
No.
thing that fills up, you wouldn't believe. There's broken down cars sometimes. You know,
Okay, then,
It would
how's
be a
that?
series of catch basins
hey,
to the pollution
Well, then I
control
might have to,
device.
Don't be
To
hitting my
the,
chair again.
you know, I might have to say I have to consensus the other
Okay,
way.
so then,
Okay, sorry.
so we're on our consensus world, right?
I'm in consensus
looking
now,
better now?
4 catch basins.
Okay, you're tentative, but it's close enough to get us through? Tracy?
So just so Steve and I are keeping equal tabs.
Yeah.
434,454 is our bonus. We're taking 250, we're adding 250 to that because we are no longer going to do the Inlet K drive. Am I correct in that assumption? The Inlet K, that 250 was already baked in the budget?
No, that's not.
It was not baked in the
So-
budget.
No, the
Ah,
250
that's what we
goes
started
inside.
talking
I think,
None
Christine,
of
we're
it
gonna
is,
start
okay.
at 434 and start subtracting.
Correct.
Okay.
Until
gotcha.
Tracy
That
says
is correct.
no, you've already got that in the budget.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought by withdrawing the Inlet K, we were adding.
No, it was never added in.
Okay.
So we're adding 250 for the 4 catch basins North Harbor.
Correct,
Yes.
Okay.
correct.
And we're adding 250 for the Hudson Seawall. We're adding.
No,
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 we
no,
haven't gone
we're
there.
holding on that.
that's, we're holding on that till next year.
But
I thought
that's where
Inlet
we're,
K we were holding on.
Both.
Both.
It's great.
So-
How did we get to, I
The
mean, we
Hudson's-
talked
I didn't
about all
think
the
we-
riprap and all the crap?
yeah, I didn't think we
And now
finished
we-
that
Crap.
conversation.
Riprap and crap?
Attaching to the 2 walls, I didn't think we finished the conversation.
Yeah, I thought we agreed that, yes, that had to be done.
We were still
It's
talking
in
about it,
there.
and then we jumped over to Harbor. We didn't finish that conversation.
That's in Lisa's
Right.
How many feet is that again?
23-24 budget.
Well, it's gonna be more, the right of way is 60, but it's gonna be more than that because we have, both sides didn't come to their
So you
full
were
property.
80
Right.
feet?
Right.
Maybe 80, 90
Okay.
linear feet.
So
We
the
can
sheep
make
pile's a
them
great
pay
idea
for it.
because
A sheep pile, right,
Yeah.
because you're not docking a boat.
Yeah,
so you
Correct.
don't
That was
need to
the
put
point of the boat
concrete.
docking. We're not
We're
docking.
not docking boats.
Right.
Okay, so would it then,
Past
if
that.
you'd use sheet pile, would it still be in the 250 range?
Yes.
Okay, so are we saying it's an either or are we saying you now reprioritize both of them as high and you reprioritize Inlet K as medium?
Right, so if I were to say the highest of the high,
Mm-hmm.
that would be Harbor
Harbor.
Drive.
Okay,
Okay, then second would be Hudson.
Hudson, right.
The third one would be Inlet.
gotcha.
However,
Okay, so we're
to
talking
Jeff's,
Hudson.
to Jeff's point, on Hudson, the pooling doesn't come up the street. The pooling is coming from the north, from the DOT basin. I've sat there and watched it. It's a stream coming through the mangroves.
Right, so we need to continue, we
So I
as
think we ought to
staff
work
need to
with the
continue
FDOT.
working with DOT
Right.
for them to firm up their own detention.
Before
Right,
we
to see
do
if
the
they can
seawall.
make some steps there to help us before we move
Because
forward
that
with
would
seawall.
definitely alleviate a lot of it.
Right.
The overtopping of the water, if you're saying now it's not a wake zone, then the overtopping of the water is not going to destroy that riprap as quickly as it did when it was a wake zone.
Is this a new, because we have a difference of opinion here. You say,
It's not a no wake zone. Jeff says otherwise. The
okay.
no wake zone
So if we're
starts
making
at the
decisions
bridge.
based on this, we need to know. Billy,
Yes, ma'am.
what we got, honey? Wake, no wake?
No way.
No
Not
way.
south of,
Until
no
where?
not
Until
south
where?
of the bridge. No way, man.
Yes, it
I'm
is.
telling you.
The sign is sitting there. It's.
I wanna pull my hair
it
out.
is
So- so-
right.
It's
It
Sterling,
used to be, though.
Engineers.
it's
Stand there
Sterling
and
Village's
it's
sign. It has no
It's
legal
not.
weight.
No, it's on the east side of the intercoastal, right at the beginning of Hudson, on the south side of Hudson. It's a no wake zone, done by
When was this
Army
implemented?
Corps.
It's
of
almost like, I
Engineers.
mean, yeah.
So this does make a difference in what you're saying, in other words,
Well,
about,
what I'm saying is,
You don't have to worry about
Huh?
the
you
seawall.
can wait a year, you can wait
That's-
another
that's-
year, let us continue to work.
okay,
with
that's what I'm
DOT.
trying to get at.
Okay.
That's what I'm
You
trying
don't
to get
have
at.
to
Dead in line with
fund
Hudson.
another-
Hello?
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. Do you
Okay.
think that this could wait another year? The
Right.
priority harbor
Yeah.
needs to go.
Yeah.
This,
Go after
even though
that
it's
thing,
high,
Richard,
is
real quick.
basically our medium. The other one is low.
So
We got
wake or
you,
no
Lisa?
wake, it's
Okay.
whether or not it's ever enforced.
Okay.
We know that, right? I
So,
mean, we can.
Well, in the other conversation we have had is our vulnerability assessment says seawalls, raise your
Right.
seawalls, do what you
Exactly
can,
right.
because the water is rising, so.
Yeah, so we're not saying we're not doing it, we're just saying,
Right.
Lisa said the
It
same
makes
thing. She
sense to
said
work
it
with
could
FDOT.
wait, let her do a little bit more work on this project. Harbor Drive, no wait. We've got that on our consensus,
okay, so I'm back to the
right?
534, 544.
Thank you, Lisa.
250's coming out, 40's coming out for payroll, 40's coming out for finance. That's where we sit right now, right?
Hang on, would you?
No, not 40 and 40, Christine. The finance software includes payroll, so your finance software is 40,000 for the purchase, and then it will be a net of 10,584, because you're taking your maintenance fee of 18,384, but then subtracting the 7,800 that's currently in there.
So just what do we add to the 40?
40 plus the 10,584.
So it's 50. 5584.
Okay, then.
Okay.
So we've been through everything we need from our engineers or another?
Unless you have questions on any of the other capital projects.
No, this is what we needed to discuss. What's getting done, what's getting not done, and what's getting not done even farther. Right?
Right, it's getting done, but in a sequence
Right.
of time, over 3 years.
Okay. Jilly, we good?
Do you have any questions on the public works budget or the other physical environment budget? Because those are
Yeah, I
their
have
budgets.
a question, and it was spurned by our public comment from Rick Carey. Is there any paving that we're being really delinquent in not pursuing?
I think we discussed this last time and
We
it,
did.
We did.
yeah, and it was
Okay.
nothing that was flagrant.
Did you give them the copies?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's high priority.
There's,
Okay,
we didn't find any high priorities for paving for this fiscal year.
So my second question is, the sidewalks are horrible in our town. I mean, they're just an absolute trip hazard. Is that strictly FDOT?
Yes.
Except for Ocean Ave, which we're addressing.
Right, we're
this
working on now.
Yeah.
This year now.
Right, well, they're
But-
working on it right now.
Correct.
Yeah, frickin' fracks out there. See that?
Yeah,
That
oh
team,
my God, it took them,
they
they're
got
still
insurance?
working on it.
They got insurance?
They'll be working on it for like 60 days. They're gonna do sections.
The curve section is really throwing them for a loop, that's all I'm
Jeffrey.
saying.
But,
Uh,
but I think we're doing I think we're evaluating the sidewalks, even though they're not ours, the ones on,
Right.
on North Ocean. We're gonna be evaluating them for trip hazards and notifying the DOT so that we're on the proactive side and not reactive
After it's
when
done,
somebody
you gotta
gets.
come back.
Oh, we've got to do that along A1A too. It's just.
No, that's what I'm
That's what she's
saying.
Right.
talking about,
Okay.
North Ocean, yep.
Yeah,
A1A.
on
North
A1A,
Ocean,
where the sidewalk is on that west side, we're gonna be evaluating that to notify the DOT of potential trip hazards.
So, I mean, I know this probably gets into legal and liability issues. Can we fix it and send them a bill? Because they seem to be in no hurry to do jack for us.
Mm.
It's their property. It's not our property.
Also, the consideration being,
residents,
it
I
is,
mean-
but the
But it's not our
consideration on
property.
these sidewalks, and we discussed this before, opens another can of worms, is you can fix them all you want, as long as those trucks keep parking on them, they're gonna keep breaking. And, right?
Minute an
Well-
FPL truck pulls over there, puts it on balance, that's the
That's right.
sidewalk. I've heard it from FDOT when I called
Absolutely,
them.
it's like a
Fix it.
horrible vicious circle here.
3 months later, it's broke again.
Right.
And they're saying,
What the heck can we do
what
about,
are we doing?
yeah, there's gotta be a smarter way to get this accomplished, because the
And we
trucks aren't
do.
gonna stop.
And we do have bad sidewalks.
I know,
Personally, 80% of them.
I agree.
probably Be redone.
So Chief, can we give a ticket to FPNL when they pull up on our sidewalk?
ooh,
We could cite anyone under state statute for blocking a sidewalk. However, the end result would be that you would be without power for a lot longer.
yeah, right.
Well, can I select that area now?
So the answer is no.
I mean, we have options, I
Right.
just don't know if
Well,
you're
there's
gonna
no
like
room
them.
for them to get, I mean, I understand this, even with the ridiculous lawn trucks, there's no room for them to be. They're either gonna stop in the middle of the road,
Same side of the road.
there's really no
No,
answer.
it's-
Those main power lines.
A1A unfortunately is so narrow that no infrastructure utility provider really has the ability to park anywhere else other than by blocking the sidewalk to do
Yes.
repairs. In most areas of the town. There are some that obviously they have other options, but very few.
The blockage isn't quite as bothersome as the destruction, that's the big problem.
Honestly, they do a very good job of preparing and putting down pads and using their weight distribution lifts or legs, whatever you call
Yep.
them, to offset that. I don't think it's their vehicles that are damaging the sidewalks as much as it is
Construction.
construction-related equipment, landscapers that are constantly
Right.
coming and going with trucks and trailers. And the landscaping issue has been an ongoing issue for, as long as I've been around.
All right, well, we won't go down that road, but that's just what I see. Sidewalks are a problem, but we can fix them all we want, we keep breaking them. All right, next.
The current.
Yeah, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions,
Oh, around
for the
Public
public
Works.
works budget or other physical environment?
Hey Christina, you at 12407.
What are we doing with the
I wasn't
trash
adding, I was
cans
just writing.
on Old Ocean? Trash cans on Old Ocean? Remember you guys are gonna hire some guy who's retiring and whatever else from Boynton?
I'm trying. I've made 3 phone calls to Miami, trying to get same one. They do Boynton Public, they do all the parks and recs, but he has not sent me a proposal yet.
So remember, we did have the idea of getting rid of the fancy trash cans and just having, what's his name, the regular guy who does the deal here, the regular trash cans, and have them run up and down there as well. Have we looked into that?
No, I haven't. You're talking putting out just a regular gray
The
barrel?
regular thing, guy picks up, throws in there. I mean, it's better than having overflowing and
Steve,
stuff all over the dang place almost. I mean, at one point, you're gonna have to make a decision of what you wanna do there.
Well, is this in this budget? And we were talking about, does this have to do with your department needing help?
Mhm.
Or does
I
this
mean, I
all
did
wind in
once.
here?
I was out there and we did, removed some of them over this past weekend, which may or may not be a good thing.
You did what?
We removed some cans this weekend.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
You did the ones on the beach, right?
yes, sir,
Yeah, I figured.
which makes a big difference.
I know.
Right, I saw them
I mean,
moved
a
up.
big
Yeah.
difference.
Oh, yeah, you're right, Chris.
And it depends on, with all of you, whether you want a gray garbage can sitting at all the crossovers, or whether you prefer to have something that represents the town as we see the ones we have now. We still have to open them and take them out. I mean, there's a liner inside them.
Right.
But you're gonna have regular, like a household trash can sitting out there 7 days a week.
Tacky.
I mean,
Tacky.
I'm just being honest.
I know, that, I know
Well,
the
you
choice,
have
it's
winds
obvious.
too, don't forget.
Mhm.
So if the
Right.
garbage pail's empty, you have to have it
Right, these are
anchored
weighted.
down, right?
Yeah,
If you're not talking about a heavy weight,
Well, that's why we did it
right.
so long ago. Put them out there because they were looking good, plus they actually stayed there and the
Right.
trash was blowing
Right.
all over them.
Right.
right, and it does,
But it's just, our garbage company just won't stop and pick that.
Because they don't want to put a bag back in it.
And the thing about bags, and the reason I change the bags Monday, Wednesday, and Friday,
right,
because of, you can imagine the food, the dog feces, if you just, you can imagine what those cans smell like if you do not remove bags outside and put it in a new bag.
oh, absolutely.
It is,
You gotta make sure you keep your cans clean.
keep the cans clean. If you don't, I mean, you get all kinds of
Right.
things.
We have the same cans.
So,
Right,
My town, we all have the same cans, those big heavy cans.
okay, so if we're gonna talk public works, are we gonna talk our need for our next public works person, or are we not going to deal with that today?
We have to deal with it soon. We can deal with it today if you'd like to. We do have, Chad left, his last day
Oh, I
was
know.
Friday. We
But it's
have-
already in the budget, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
Well-
it is. So his
Yeah.
position's in the budget, yes.
Right,
The application that we received, are gonna be interviewing him next week. He's requesting more money than we have budgeted.
right,
So we have budgeted 56,500 for that position. The starting salary for that position is only 44,500 to 46,725.
Where are you?
He's
so
requesting
totally lost.
$62,000.
62,000 for an assistant maintenance guy or whatever?
yeah,
So
full-time.
this-
What were we paying Chad?
What? Hello?
Budgeted is 56,500, so he
56.
was gonna be making 56,500 October 1,
What was Chad making?
56,500.
56.5,
That's
she
fine.
just said. Oh, yeah.
You know, just easy over there, Big Red.
Now,
But your starting
Danielle.
salary range is only 44,500 to 46,725.
Right, but are we actually looking at competent people at a $44,000?
so not only does the person who's applying for the job meet all the requirements that we're asking, but he's also a certified electrician, which is something that we spend a lot of money
Right,
having the contractor do.
How much
So,
does he want?
and we're not getting a huge number of applicants in a lot of the positions that we're advertising. So
Right.
it's one of those things
That's the
where we
answer to
kind of
that
have to
It's a money.
offset the thought of,
What's your name?
will we pay a little more in an annual salary, but then save in project costs as
Does-
we go through the
What
course of
does
the
he
year?
want?
How much do you want? 50, 60, how much?
62.
62.
So you tell
So
me
there's
just
a
So we're
$6,000
talking-
difference
Exactly.
between the what is
Well, that's,
currently
Yeah.
paid.
that's,
Would,
shows a whole
would he be
different.
able to do
That's
$6,000 worth of electric
It's like
services
a
here in
small
town?
And empty the
Yeah.
trash on all day?
Yes.
Yes.
Richard, did you hear,
yes.
which makes
Yes, he
sense?
will be able
Okay,
to.
I just wanted to
Thank
get you to
you.
get the good
There you
answer
go.
here.
And-
Exactly,
Move on, next.
And,
if only.
Yeah.
and not only that,
I mean, we
but
recruited him, to be honest with you.
Right.
Billy and I have been working on trying to get this
All
guy.
right.
for probably months, so.
Okay, Big
And-
Red says,
Consensus?
yes,
And-
let's go on.
What else would you like to say, Tracy?
And not only that, with an electrician, our pump stations are all electronic.
I'm
I'm
on board.
Is he
I think
certified?
everybody's on board.
Okay, well,
Yes,
I don't know, I haven't heard that yet. So, 62
For $6,000.
for a full-time gentleman with the electrical experience. Y'all y'all have spoken to him. He's possibly interested at that price. So we need to know, can we find that extra, what is it, $6,000 more in our budget? Is that what we're
I'm
looking for?
adding it to the.
I know you're adding.
I'm
I got no problem
You're
with you adding.
subtracting.
I'm
Right.
Subtracting.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so would you like a consensus to add this to the budget to make the salary enough that we could offer the gentleman the position?
Yes, and I'll need consensus to start that in this current.
Right.
Yes,
So let's get consensus now.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Christine,
Okay.
what are you at?
There you go.
127,870.
See, glad you
I'm at
came.
128,370. Because we only had to add 55, subtract 55. Not 6.
Oh, I just
I'm
did
doing
6
wrong
to give him a
numbers.
little wiggle.
Don't
wiggle.
even look.
You know, he's gonna need a
I'm doing very
phone,
wrong numbers.
Right.
massage on Tuesdays.
When July.
Okay.
So, but to your point, do we still have a part-time person for the garbage cans, which is where we started this whole conversation?
Right,
We do not.
Big Red's a little confused here.
Right, no, we have not hired a part-time person yet.
right. But we're
Okay.
still looking, we're just not having a whole lot
And-
of bites on this one,
And the
correct?
part-time person would be already in the budget, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So if by chance we're lucky enough and find somebody that
And
you
that's where the
believe is.
cost difference for this current year will go to pay the electrician.
I knew you were thinking that. I knew you were thinking that.
Right.
But so if we come across somebody, please God, that can be of some help to you, that everybody agrees on, that would be absolutely fine. But even better, you're gonna get a good guy to replace Sergeant, good guy to replace the boy. Okay, goody.
So, you know, Billy is requesting a full-time person, not just a part-time person for that. We have enough work, as you all know.
For the third person.
Yep.
Okay, just want to hear it out loud.
Instead
I
of having
know.
a part-time person, we do have enough work to keep someone else busy full-time.
Right. Wouldn't need a garbage, extra garbage, would we? So, yes, don't even look. So what would be the difference in the, once again,
In what is budgeted.
what is
and what
budgeted and what we would need to fulfill William's wishes?
Was anything budgeted, Tracy?
Yeah, part-time.
Yeah, part-time.
At what?
20,000.
You have your answer, hold
I thought it was high.
on.
But if a part-time guy comes along temporarily, wouldn't you put him on? Just to- You
Sure, because we got the work.
know what I'm saying?
I
It's
can't
like,
get one.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, so at the current starting salary of $39,500,
For part-time?
a full-time maintenance worker would cost the town approximately $72,000 with benefits.
What?
At the proposed starting salary of $43,500.
Yeah, say that first.
A full-time maintenance worker would cost the town approximately $76,500 with taxes
Everything.
and benefits. The part-time maintenance worker will cost the town approximately $33,500, which encompasses salary plus taxes and benefits such as workers' comp that we have to give them in retirement.
And what's in our budget?
So the difference right now, depending on what you would want as a starting salary.
You can't give a starting salary higher to number 3 than number 2. Come on.
right.
This whole thing.
You wouldn't.
No, that's
I'm talking
including his
salary and
benefits. That's including his benefits. She didn't
Salary
include the
plus
Yeah,
benefits
but
in her
Christine,
proposal.
we didn't
Total.
include benefits
Yeah,
on
she
the
didn't
other guy.
include benefits, exactly right.
Right, that's why you're gonna look at double the cost.
Right.
On the 66.
Yeah,
I wonder if they
62.
jump it. I mean,
Not 62.
It's expensive to live out there.
I don't know.
So you would need to add approximately $43,000 to the budget.
For a full-time
For the
person.
full-time, yeah, because we already have budgeted $33,500.
All right. And we have
Nice
more
story.
than
Plus
enough,
43.
I'd
more
say-
than enough to do for a full, right?
Yes.
More than enough. Okay.
You guys
So
putting
any
Christmas lights up
discussion on that?
You putting the Christmas lights up?
Yeah, I think.
I gotta go
Mulching.
back for it.
Hold on, I'm looking down here
Lane
first.
bricks.
Well,
Martin, what do you think?
I wanna revert back to our
60.
number 2
Yeah.
with the 62,000, just to
Starting.
get the numbers right.
Okay,
The 62,000 is the salary plus benefits.
What are we
How
gonna
much will the
add?
benefits come into?
Another 20.
62,000
asking
plus
for
what?
62,000, position number 2.
Yeah, they just want the full number so they can,
Or just
So
ball-
they can,
ballpark.
for our 2
It's
calculators.
Mathematician.
Yeah.
Mathematicians.
I was happy for them not to have it.
Well, at some point you gotta go negative.
I know it's coming. That's what Jean's for, she's
Gene,
not
what do
gonna
you
let us
figure,
not get
30%?
those.
The last time I did French, it was about 48-50%.
Think about
I'll
that.
tell you though, because I
For
have
benefits?
the. I have the
Yeah, that's what
50%.
keeps going up on us, yes.
Hold on.
Health
Wonder why I
insurance,
don't have
800 a
benefits.
month.
So that's
And
another
then
30,000.
FRS is about
That's crazy.
I don't think it's really 50%.
15%.
No,
It's not
should be
50.
close to 38.
No, it's 30 something,
Should be
or
close to
maybe
So
40.
we'll
but
throw in
not
20
50.
grand, how's that?
That's what I figured. It was 62,
Doesn't sound like
30%.
So it's gonna be 82.
It's another 18,000.
So we gotta subtract another 20.
Okay, so I got 26 for this.
Yeah, but you got
Oh.
that extra 500, remember?
Ooh,
Absolutely.
that's the wiggle room.
But so we're at,
Okay,
we're
so-
at 108,370 left over.
Okay, so bottom line is we're discussing whether or not we want to,
And that doesn't get us our generator for the town.
It-
That's my whole
Nope,
point.
Yeah, we
squirrels.
got an electrician,
hamsters.
maybe he can keep the one we have.
there you
going.
go.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so now we're talking about, do we want to add to the budget the in-between numbers to make the, what we have for a part-time, we're looking for to a full-time because we could definitely use it. Now, let's go back, talk about, not the numbers, let's talk about whether we need it. Martin,
Listen, I cannot judge if we need it, that's Billy's department. If Billy says that he needs it, then I guess he needs it. The question for us is,
can we afford it?
can we afford it? And is there any other way how to do it?
I mean, I still think we should make the list and then go back. I mean,
Yeah,
to say
I
a
think
yay or nay is
we're in
premature.
budget
No, we're just
discussion,
talking-
so
we're
let's,
on the
let's
same
put
boat.
it on there.
Okay.
And, you know, with the asterisks,
Right, anything can come off, we're
I
not
have
done.
I have your answer on that 62,000 for the public works
What's
position.
that?
84.
The budget for Chad was 92,930 for salary plus benefits.
See?
If I put that up to 62,000 for the salary, it's 98,065.
Oh,
that's
So
our
it's a
total cost.
$6,000.
For the number 2 guy.
$36,000?
No, six.
No, it has-
That can't be right.
6,000.
I'm sticking to my 20%.
20,000.
Yeah.
I said 90s. So we have an interest in possibly putting that number in there. We can take it out if we find ourselves strangled, but
I say find somebody part-time, start with the
we're
trash
still
cans.
looking. We haven't gotten it. But we're
I'm
not
still in the same
stopping.
position.
Look for it.
And we very well could have somebody. I just need him to apply.
Right.
He's been interviewed, but he
You go to
hasn't
bid on
applied
fire
yet.
times, you go to a bar, you hit somebody over the head.
We have somebody from Boynton who we thought was interested.
Right.
but,
We've been
Yeah,
hearing
yeah.
that for
you know,
months.
I need to
Yeah,
get him
yeah,
to
yeah.
actually apply.
Right.
So
And that right there tells
Maybe
you
he doesn't
something,
want to.
right? That's not a good sign.
No, I agree.
Right? That's not a good sign. So
But he
we're
has
still looking
friends,
for it.
supposedly.
Yeah, so I heard.
Conscription.
Conscription. I got some ideas. Okay,
So
so,
Susan, I mean,
it's thrown out
I, you know, you can throw it in there. I'm still staying in asterisks because I
Okay.
still, I mean,
I
this
know.
is not looking at signage that we want to do for
I
Old
know,
Ocean
I know,
Boulevard,
I know.
right? We had this group meet and now we're going to tell them, no, we're, don't got any money, sorry. Fayette Drive is looking for some signage and some bumps. And I keep coming back to the generator
oh, we
because you
got a
know
lot.
what?
Yep. Well, that's
We have a
something
storm,
important.
I'm coming here.
Ooh.
Ice
Okay.
cubes.
So it's a possibility, okay? Nothing's for sure. I'm trying. Okay, so where do we go next that we can let, or any other physical, environmental questions here for you? Before we
Yeah,
let
I want to
these
hear
guys
about
go?
the generator because I keep
Okay,
talking
yes.
about it.
Where are you?
Yes.
What number?
That makes me go gray. Yes, why I didn't have any hair, right?
I did.
The generator's approaching 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It was used when we got it, or reconditioned. I've had multiple fuel issues, injector pumps, injectors. I've got a bad computer board in it right now. We have rewired it around the computer so that the injector pump will run at this point in time. The computer boards
Steve, it's on the
have been on
CIP
back
plan.
order for 6 months now and no delivery
It's on the
date.
CIP plan, it's not in the narrative.
So that's where it's at. I've got one on order, but I can't tell you when it's coming. So it seems to be, we're starting to run into multiple issues. We've had a radiator that needs to be changed in that. They no longer manufacture it.
Of course.
So in order to get it done, I have to have it torn down, sent out for the period of 3 to 4 weeks or better with no standby generator at all. Have it reconditioned and brought back. So it's just a multiple of things starting to go. And that's probably as critical, if not more critical, than tropical. Well, right, we can slide on sometimes. This one and tropical.
Well, I
The
mean,
chief gets very upset with me when that generator does not run because it's our 911.
what I
Yeah.
heard in staff meeting is if you took a year and you looked at it, it's down at least 50% of the time.
Right
So I
now.
think we're just playing Russian
Yeah.
roulette, and I mean, you can't run a town without a generator after, and I think that's more important. I found, Big Red's getting to the point. It's more important than the seawall on Hudson, it's more important than the drainage on Harbor Drive North. I mean, if we don't have a generator, we don't have a generator.
So lately,
We've been dealing with
city-
water for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't.
Lately, the city of Boynton Beach Police Department has been covering us on the days and times that we're down the generator. They actually have been monitoring our systems for us in the event that we do go down. And they've graciously done it. They're not charging or anything. They're just, helping. But it's definitely, it's a concern. And we have started building a redundant process for us to be able to institute a small portable generator that will just run the dispatch center temporarily in the event the generator does fail. But that's emergency only. We won't be running air conditioning. We won't be running any of the other infrastructure. It'll literally just run 911 and communications until we can get to a point where we have, power back online.
So it's 150 all in,
How much is it?
150.
We're,
All in?
I,
Well, what are we talking about then? Get the generator.
Well, we only got 107.87 left, so
Yeah,
you're kicking in the
that's not
extra.
that much down.
Okay.
yeah, because
Got a
the
$1 million
generator that
battery
would
pack.
go out there at this time would be a quarter of the size. That was
Right.
originally designed for the pump station at Tropical years ago. That's a
Okay,
200.
so I'm just asking, is 150 realistic?
I would say it is
deliver,
realistic.
Install,
Yes, I would say it's very realistic.
making ice cubes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
number that.
How long?
Is that
That's the
realistic
big
with
issue.
engineering?
Yeah.
Correct, with
Correct.
engineering.
Okay.
Yes.
The issue we don't know is the build time, because what we're seeing on build times with generators now, that size, you could be 8 to 12 months on build. So even if we ordered it right now, we still
May
have
not
to
see.
get our other generator, limping along for another year.
Wow.
The
should
tropical
order it right now.
generator's 50 weeks out,
Jeez.
50 weeks until we can get the generator for tropical. Then we need another 4 weeks to
Install.
install and to tweak it so that it
So
modifies.
so to
for us.
order it, do you have to pay for the whole thing, or you just have to put a deposit?
I
Because
haven't got that deep into it at this particular time.
Because I'm thinking
It was brought
we
up.
don't need to wait till
You want me to
October
get into
1st to
it?
do this, do we?
Yeah.
No, I think you
Get
should
out,
put the
get
deposit down like
calculations.
Now.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll get somebody out here to do load calculations.
Yeah, that's the one thing we would
That's
have to
like
factor
super
into the
important.
budget would be the cost of engineering up front, because we would want to engineer it before we ordered it.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
would think that we would probably want to factor that into the budget immediately.
ASAP.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, deposit or whatever's required
Move
to
forward.
get the device ordered.
Okay. I'm just thinking if of the 150, 30 of it is engineering and deposit, we should go ahead and take it out of this year's budget and get going.
Be done.
If we wait till October 1st, this is,
Oh, forget it.
And by doing that, you would also reduce the amount that you're spending next year, which means your numbers would be lower than what you would have anticipated if you did the deduction of 150. So you might be closer to the 115 range.
All right, so what do you need from us now?
You say go, I'm
All
on.
right, Mayor?
We're all good on this, right? We all know it's a priority. Gotta go, gotta move, put in the engineering ASAP. I think we said this
Consensus, yes?
before, yes.
Yeah.
Consensus is.
You know, all this talk about a part-time guy, I got a generator doesn't even run, I mean, what the heck?
It's running right now. Isn't it?
Yeah. It cranks
Is
up.
that why the lights flickered a minute ago?
If you go out the back door, you'll hear a beeping sound, that's why.
Oh, God. All
Don't
right.
touch any ungrounded wires, right?
It's the generator.
All right, anything else we need Billy for, or Lisa? Or go down the whole, shall we go down our prior, we already know what our priorities are here, right?
Sushi,
We've already
I'd like some
agreed, we haven't had
sushi.
any push. What?
I want sushi.
I'll go to the no wait
Yes.
zone.
Thank you.
Exactly.
There you
We're
go.
gonna take a picture and send it over.
Hallelujah.
I am right. I looked it up on Google. I
Oh,
sent you
well.
guys the text. Go read it. Number 9, under the rules of the water of the East Ocean Bridge.
They need me.
Oh my God.
Alright.
You good? Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
So where do we go
Where
next?
we just added the town hall generator, are we still?
In the red.
I will.
In the red.
Are we still adding the Harbor Drive drainage?
Well, you can add it in there and then we can.
Because we'll go over at that point, I think.
Yeah, we're 40,000 short.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know we're going down there.
okay.
All right, so
So
take that calculator out of her hand.
well, can we go ahead and discuss the other two things that that we haven't discussed that were, that will cost money? One was the Old Ocean Boulevard signs. It's gonna come up on our commission piece. I mean, if those signs are close to $700 a piece and we're proposing 9 and then maybe another 6 for each entrance.
That's
Do you wanna
kinda-
put a
I mean, with all
placeholder?
I mean, is that really that much money?
When you're in the red, you're in the red.
I don't
mean, my-
know.
my-
I
my-
don't believe we're gonna be in the red.
Well, my goal is to not take anything from reserves this year and actually
It's a good
put
goal,
things.
That's a good goal.
Yeah,
It's a
I
good
mean,
goal to have.
we already took money out for the mangroves and I think at some point we gotta be, we
But we
got
also
balance the
get
budget.
$891,000, more in tax money that we only thought we were getting 400.
Right.
But that's
So now
already
we're-
baked into this.
Well, with
No.
the decisions you just made today, you're gonna be taking out of reserves 21,000,
Oh, God forbid.
What'd you charge for the generator?
150.
Usually
I
discuss
got 41.
800,000.
I mean, last year, 400,000.
Reserves.
Yeah, and we get cut money back.
We're doing pretty good.
Well,
Oh,
without
okay.
just Tracy, so moving forward here, before we go into signs and what have you, because that's new, where do we need to go here on all of our narrative, everything, through all our staff meetings, we've all agreed there's been no changes here.
Right,
Because
yeah,
we're basically talking
there's
about
no
your
other
changes.
The only other thing that I really need to bring up, and
Tell
I
me.
promised staff I would bring it up, is the proposed salary ranges.
Right.
I've had discussions with staff recently, and again last week. And, our staff really works really hard, and they do not only their job, they're also doing the job of others because we are very short-staffed. So I have staff that really feel underappreciated right now. And this sometimes happens when we give raises to one portion of staff and then it doesn't carry over to everyone else. So,
Well, spit it out. Is that from the police department to
Yeah.
the
yeah,
thing? It wasn't equal like we did before?
right,
Well, let's just,
correct,
say it.
correct.
It's not-
She is, give her a
Push your
break
foot
now.
around it.
Break
No,
off,
I mean,
spit
come
it
on,
out. She's coming.
Let's go.
So, yes,
Continue,
we
Tracy.
have some staff that are feeling underappreciated.
Understood.
Also with the proposed salary ranges that we presented, they are lower than other areas.
Right.
So,
Can I just,
Wait. Let Tracy finish here.
yeah, I don't want to lose our staff that we currently have. They're good at what they do. They work really hard. I do have some stats, and in the month of June, they processed 26 lien searches. This is in 1 month. 34 record requests, 53 permits, 80 applications and revisions. They scheduled 183 inspections, received approximately 294 entries in the book at the front for taking payments. One employee received 1,055 emails in a month.
My God.
1,055 emails. Those aren't just things that, that takes time. You have to respond to those.
I think you need a better filter. on
Wait,
this thing.
let her finish, please.
The staff has told me that they feel underappreciated, and I need to relay that to you.
Correct.
But-
All right, so we have talked about, every time we have filled a position or looked for raises, you always give us the basic, low, medium, high, and then where we sit in between. Now, I'm looking at this, but it doesn't give where we are, correct? This is
Well,
just,
you have your proposed salary ranges in there, and you also have your HR
okay, so
calculation
tell us where to
sheets.
go so we can all be on the same page while you tell us what we need.
So under your HR tab or personnel tab
Okay,
in your book, you have your HR sheet, and then you also have what we are proposing, but
okay.
even what is proposed is still lower than what you see on the PEPI salary surveys.
Should we begin basically with our open space? Should we talk about that first, or should we discuss the staff that needs to be, the staff that needs to be discussed? Which priority do you think we need to discuss just to get the thing going? I know you're dying to talk, but just let me ask her where she's going here. What would you think would be the smartest way to go here?
I mean, I think we need to address the salaries. We need to give our employees
In
a little
whole.
bit of a bump,
Okay,
the front office staff.
okay. Martin, did you want to add something here?
Thank you. And this is a pure technicality. I hope that our staff does not feel underappreciated. I hope our staff, what they feel is underpaid. And that's two different things. And I want to make that clear where that is. Now, underpaid can lead to underappreciation, or to the thought of
Right,
underappreciation.
exactly, yes.
I just want to make sure that staff understands that they are very much appreciated. At least from this part of the bench, I appreciate my staff a million times. Are they underpaid? That is for us to decide. We need to address, possibly yes, but not underappreciated. They are very much appreciated. And I think everybody in town, every resident in town appreciates the staff very, very much. You hear nothing but great things about staff.
Okay, so underpaid, yes, they definitely feel underpaid. They also feel like they're doing too much work, like we're short-staffed, is
Right.
what they're feeling. They're feeling the pinch.
Where's Billy in these? Is he 2, 1, or?
Billy's this.
Okay, so where's the best way to start discussing? Individual, how are we gonna do this? Because we all understand what you're saying, and Martin, I agree with him, we're all here to listen.
No,
So what-
your salary result, that's the actual salary, not any bonus, not any all the stuff that comes with it, right?
That's the salary surveys, though. That's not what our
No.
current employees make. This is the salary surveys from the.
Right.
Right, but these aren't,
Those are not our numbers.
That's not us.
okay.
So that doesn't
That's
do
what I
us.
was saying.
Okay,
So
That's
after
exactly
salary
right.
results-
Here, ours are under
Those are not our numbers.
Where's your number?
Right, yeah.
here.
So our numbers.
Yeah,
Let's tell me where it is on the book.
Right here,
Yeah, under
Yeah,
HR.
but where,
under
HR.
the same tab.
personnel.
Personnel.
I was gonna say, I don't see it.
Oh, you don't? I have an HR.
I got an HR, but it's
I got
hidden. Jeff,
The
personnel.
salaries of our employees are on this sheet.
Right,
It's hidden behind
Oh, could you make it any smaller?
MD.
Yeah,
I know, that is.
but then this is
Not
the
talking about
other sheet.
salary.
Okay, wait,
that we're
we can
talking
see
How
about.
more
about
here.
sheet?
Okay,
So-
now where's your other sheet?
Well,
Oh, the
there's,
one behind it.
there's
Oh,
two
that's
sheets
readable.
behind it,
Behind
current
it, see?
salary ranges and proposed salary ranges.
Okay,
Truthfully, for me, it's a lot of compare this to that, to this to that. I would like to see one simple spreadsheet that says treasurer makes this, it's
That's right
below the
here.
salary range.
Right here.
You mean on this sheet?
well, that's the basics.
No,
These
but
are
I
ours.
understand, we have to
Yeah.
keep on going back and forth.
Mhm, yes,
The
yes.
number should be
We
on
need to
this sheet,
number
number
these
one.
things.
Number two, what towns did you use to do this?
That's the Pepe survey, so that's the towns in Florida that respond to the Pepe survey.
So that could be Miami Beach.
It's a mishmatch of
Right,
towns and.
so this is pretty useless, because we're Ocean Ridge, we're a small town, we're 1,800 people. So to have a job in here that's making $130,000, that could be the person that's running for Lauderdale. You see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
but Steve, don't forget that when you have a big community, okay, so let's just say the city clerk in West Palm Beach, she makes a certain amount. She also has 10 people under her, okay? The town clerk in Ocean Ridge has to do the same state reporting that the city clerk in West Palm does, and she has one person underneath her.
Right, but to
That
compare,
also does something else.
to compare the town clerk of West Palm Beach to our town clerk and try to come to some salary derivative is a non sequitur.
Where's the
It's
paperwork that
difficult.
we had before? We had one where you utilized, I think we broke it down by like 3 or 4 towns that we were within the meld of population, size of staff, et cetera. It wasn't this
And I-
one, which is
I think
basic.
that was last year.
It was,
Yeah.
well,
And
no,
the
it
year
was like
before that. The year
2019,
before that.
actually, was the last time we did this.
Okay, because
Three
that's,
years ago.
that's helpful because to Steve's point, that lets him see.
I mean, we can do
apples
that,
to
but I
apples,
can tell
oranges.
you it's not
Okay,
gonna
so
be
help
much
us.
different.
Okay, well, good, help us through that.
It's not gonna be much
Just
different than what you have
to
here.
make the point apples to apples here.
So I'm looking at the HR
Where do you wanna
salary
start?
calculations and multipliers. I'm looking at the town manager / finance director, current actual 132.5.
Yes,
That's all baked in. That's
Yes.
FSR. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I wanted to know.
no, that's not all
No.
baked in, that's the salary. All baked in is the line at the very end, total employee salary
222.
and benefits.
And that is current.
Yes,
Okay.
So
no, that's proposed, sorry,
that's
that's
proposed.
proposed, that's in your budget that you use in front of you
So-
now.
Okay,
So it's a
so I
project
guess,
goal,
I guess
FY23?
my question, just give me a second. My question is, 132.5 is salary only.
Mm-hmm,
If we move to 137,469,
that's salary proposed,
that's salary proposed, and the
Yep.
total all in would be 222,736.
right, which.
I'd like to see what is all in current,
And that is going to be
because
in your other budget that I can pull from the website. Chief, do you have,
my question,
The budget's on the
Tracy,
website.
is the delta of about $5,000 between the 132.5 and the 137, say 5.
Mhm.
So the $5,000, is it the same multiplier, or does that 122, or is that right now 125 and it goes up to 122,736? The multiplier is what confuses me.
I bet you it's $1,000.
you're talking about the multiplier,
So there's a $5,000 delta
Uh-huh.
between the estimated, the current rate and the projected fiscal year 23.
right, and that's confusing to you because it only takes into consideration 9 months, or my anniversary date is January. So it's a 5% increase, but it doesn't really, you only have to pay that from January to September. So that's why the calculation's like that.
Exactly. So what I'm looking for is on an annualized basis, is it possible on an annualized basis to do this type of research for, I don't want to see the police stuff unless it's the non-PBA, whatever. But I'd like to see on an annualized basis, what is the all-in? and what is the proposed up and how much of a delta that is, because that's where I'm not seeing the correct multipliers, because some of these are for 6 months, some of them are for 9 months. It really depends on the anniversary.
Yeah, because we're giving you what it's actually gonna take out of your budget.
But it's not, because as you go through year after year after year, it's gonna be on an annualized basis. It's not just gonna be on a 9-month basis or a 7-month basis. So those are the numbers that I would like to be able to put my head around to see what the actual, I mean, are we talking $5,000 difference all in for each employee? Are we, I mean, it's, I just
You're
can't.
talking about a 5%, so it's a 5% increase in salary.
So Tracy, at the bottom right, where it says 491,552, I can't read it.
39.
Is that the total increase of everything that Christine's asking for F22 to F23?
Yeah, that's salary plus
But is that
benefits.
a calendar fiscal?
That's fiscal.
Okay, that might be the answer to your question there, Christine. We're increasing close to $500,000.
But most of, well, at least at the moment, most of that comes out of the police department contract.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have 24 employees in the police department.
So, yeah.
Again, but we're not asking about the police department. I mean,
No,
that's
what
already baked into
that
this
should-
budget.
Right, but that should take it out when we're discussing front office staff.
That's what,
because
that's what she's saying.
Now, the only, and here's my thought on this, when we're doing contracts with the police union, and we're coming to agreements that the police should be paid, which is half of our staff or part, whatever, it is part of our staff, then maybe we should take into consideration for the future to actually use our front office staff, or use that example of what we negotiated with the,
PBA.
oh my God, my brain's not.
I thought we did that.
That is traditionally,
Yeah.
what the town has done.
But we haven't apparently done that.
For the last about 6 or 7 years.
Okay,
Right,
So maybe
and-
we need to get back on that then.
We have
And
or
this
have
year,
not.
you did the PBA contract, and then you boosted the dispatchers by 7,500.
Right.
And then town hall staff got 0.
So
That's the point, that's the point we're making here.
Right.
That's what we're trying to separate.
Tracy, if we weren't sitting here having this discussion, how do people get a raise? Is it on an annual when they were hired
Yes.
basis?
Yes.
So why don't we just,
5%,
when somebody's annual comes
It's
up,
up to 5%.
correct.
but then
Based on merit.
take this into account then. In other words, somebody's got a October 3rd anniversary and they're gonna get, you believe they should get 5%, but you also
Right.
gotta catch them up. So instead of giving them, let's make up a number, instead of giving them $4,500, you talk to the commission, you do whatever you gotta do and say, okay, it's your anniversary, we're bumping you 6,500.
Right.
Instead of doing this, somebody could have just got a raise yesterday and they're gonna get another one today if their annual was yesterday. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like a
Yeah,
normal company.
But the numbers have to be budgeted during the budget
Correct.
process, or there will
Or I
not be
can't do it.
funds to account for that.
So
That's
what I'm
it
saying
is.
is, I can't tell what needs to be budgeted this way. I
No,
can't.
no, I see what you're saying. You want kind of a spreadsheet that has not only what proposal is being asked of, but what our current salaries, what our projected salaries, what the increase is, and that way you can see it all on one single in front of
Because
you.
it doesn't
all
just
makes sense.
affect next year, it affects the year after that,
Right.
the year after
It's
that, the year after
compounding.
that, yeah. And I can't make, my brain just, it's my brain. My brain just doesn't work this way, so.
So what is the suggestion?
Tracy produces the sheet of paper that Christine's asking for.
I mean, to your point about dispatch, if we gave them that bump to compare to the PBA, are they still, they may no longer be now under the PEPI, right?
So,
So then to turn around and say 5%
Right, they're over now.
across the board, to Steve's point is, I mean,
well, but the dispatchers got a 7,500 increase, and then they got 5% on their annual or up to 5% on
So
their
the-
annual.
Pepe study, as it relates to dispatchers, the average midpoint salary, not the lowest, not the highest, just the midpoint is 53,308. We gave them a $7,500 increase, and that brought us to 50,000. So we're still
Right.
3,300 under what the midpoint is.
Okay, so then back to Steve's point, I would prefer, rather than using Pepe, I would prefer to see what is local similar towns versus having this kind of conglomerate that.
I can tell you that you may not like the result after that, because if we take just Palm Beach County, these numbers are gonna increase.
Right.
What we see
More than
traditionally, when I was doing the survey that I presented to you several months ago for the dispatch salary increases, that's what I presented to you, were numbers of agencies that were similar to us, as well as agencies that were around us, including a couple in Broward, just to give you a taste of what those ranges were. They're very consistent with the Pepe study. And the other thing that I'm not trying to tell you, but I just want you guys to know is that 4 years prior to using individual comparisons like that, the town has traditionally always used this study, which is why we always look at it for numbers. It's not because we just chose to use it, but because that's what traditionally the town has done. But we can obviously go back and pull these same numbers locally and present that to you, but we know that those agencies in North Florida are below the low point.
Way below.
On this. And then when you get to about Orlando South, you're typically in the mid-range. And then when you get to South Florida, you're at the high end. So.
And, and that makes sense. And so we want to, just in all fairness, I'm not looking to necessarily reduce it. I'm saying,
Right.
because we are in a very expensive county, maybe we,
Right.
need to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples.
Right, which is what we
Because
talked
like you
about.
said, it can go both ways,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's just when the anniversary dates versus, and then you've got salary versus all in, it's too confusing for me.
But why do we have to make it that confusing? So why do we have to make it that confusing? So the dispatchers got a 7,500 bump, town hall staff got 0.
Right.
Can we do something comparable?
Tracy, the question is not, if, dispatch, if you have 4 or 5 dispatchers, the 4 or 5 dispatchers are equal in what they do.
Yes.
When you look at our front office staff, you have a town manager and you have a clerk. There are so many different positions with different salary ranges. I want to make sure that instead of saying, well, everybody gets a 7,500 bump, I want to make sure that, well, is the 7,500 bump enough for the clerk, or is the 7,500 bump enough for the town manager?
Well, let's be clear,
Are
the
we-
town manager's asking
Right.
for nothing.
I'm-
Okay, let's be
and
clear. I just
I'm
want that
not-
on the
You mean
record.
by- yes, I
am
know what
not
you mean.
asking for an increase
Yeah.
for the town manager at
Pure
all.
example.
Period.
It's a pure example. What I'm trying to get to is, I don't want to short anybody, no matter what their position is. If one of them has been left behind for too long and they might need a 10,000 jump, and somebody else had been moved pretty forward with everybody else by $5,000, we might need to bring them all to one. And then for that, we have the study that says, okay, this is your average. So let's bring it, the decision here might be, let's bring it to this average. And then from now on, we might be looking at this every year on a different. Does that make sense?
And to your point, Martin, if we have a long-term employee who have consistently excelled and gotten a 5% increase, they may be well beyond what the average median salary is. I mean, you look at Rita Taylor over in in Gulfstream, she pulls down almost 300 G's a year.
What's her title?
Assistant
Queen.
clerk.
Last I checked,
Queen.
she was making 130, I believe. Around the same as.
That's salary.
Yes, salary, correct.
Don't count her when you do your little thing.
But it is confusing, and I understand what Martin's saying. Is there a way that we can look? I think you're not going to find anybody that doesn't agree that we need to come up to par with what people getting paid for what they do. and what the cost of living is in the area. I think nobody's fighting that one. Is there a way to make this a little simpler for us to look at? Is it a percentage? Is it across the board that then brings people to where we think they should be, and from then on, it's on a yearly basis of another percentage? See what I mean? It's
Well,
just
no, your yearly percentages are 5,000.
are going to stay 5, right?
Right. I mean, not
5%.
5,000,
No,
sorry,
no, I know 5%. So you're basically saying that we think, that it should be that but the 75 bump that they got, that everybody deserves to get something to bring themselves up, and then we stick with the 5% from there.
Yes.
And across the board, you would say you think that coming up with one number for everybody would be fair, which is basically what
Which is
Martin's
what
saying.
historically the town has done.
Which is what Martin's saying.
But we also got away from that, and I was part of the group that sat on this dais and made that decision to get away from that.
Mhm.
And again, it's not negating that I don't want our employees to be paid at Palm Beach County level, mid or to the maximum, and somewhere in that range to make sure that they're compensated. But I feel like you're giving out chiclets when you negotiate for one group, then you say, well, everybody else gets it too.
And the negotiation is really, it is different from employee category to employee category. Like you said, when we did the law enforcement PBA contract, that was something that they negotiated based on the numbers relating to those specific positions. When we did it for the positions relating to dispatch, we gave you the numbers specific to what dispatchers made. I think.
And that's what we were trying to do here with the salary survey. I gave you the numbers for what each position
On
is.
dispatch, we have neglected them for years. While the police officers have gotten their bumps consistently, dispatch had been left behind because they're out of that contract. That's why we needed to bump them that much, and still only reached a certain level that is not even at midpoint.
Correct.
And now we're talking about front office staff.
Right.
Which now
And that's
feels
exactly
like
my
they're
point.
not
So-
getting what they
so-
deserve.
So Tracy, on this Pepe salary thing,
Yeah.
are you looking at that you would like to see people at the median, at the average, at the minimum, at the midpoint, at the maximum?
Well, we're using this to set the proposed salary ranges. We need to do that definitely.
Okay, so
So
but
that we can hire.
okay, so these ranges go all over though. Which
Right.
which line of these are you using to set that average? Is it the minimum? Is it the midpoint? Is it the maximum?
No, we're looking at the min and max when you're looking at your proposed salary ranges. You're looking at your minimum and your maximum, and that gives you your salary ranges. So
And are you
we're
looking at
pretty-
the average, the third quartile, the first quartile, median?
We are pretty close with the sheet that I gave you for the proposed salary ranges. We do
Right.
have a few that
Where's that one?
still need to be addressed. So if you look at your salary
That's in
ranges
this one.
proposed, I think for the deputy town clerk, we need to up that by 5,000 on both ends. So instead of the deputy town clerk starting at 48,500, they need to start at 53,500.
Okay, but deputy assistant.
Where are you pulling that last number from?
Page 2.
No, I
If
have
you look
minimum.
at your Pepe salary, the minimum for a deputy town clerk is 54,793.
Correct.
Okay, so that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking. You're using
Right.
average.
Yes.
You're not using median,
Correct.
you're using average. Okay, that was
All right,
the
deputy
second part of
town
the
clerk.
question.
48 minimum, 83 max. And you're proposing what? The midpoint of 70?
53.
But where are you coming up with a 53? I don't see that. Is that in the
On that-
sheet?
No.
on this sheet.
Look
On that
at
sheet.
your second page of the Pepe.
That's
Deputy town clerk, the average minimum is 54,793.
Right.
Right?
So we're
So
saying
I'm
move it.
requesting 53,500.
But
And
where is
that's
the
what he's looking for,
53.5?
53.5.
Where's that?
In,
That's on the. No, I
It's
have that in
not.
my hand. It's not there.
I said we need to address it further based on the.
okay, so that's what we're
So you
looking
have it at
for.
48
See, we
in
got so
that
many
sheet,
numbers
but
we're
you're-
looking here.
You're suggesting
Yeah.
53.
Yes.
So can I make a suggestion? because this is taking forever. The 491, orange down in the bottom of the ledger, right? That, we've already voted that in the budget, correct? Right. So now we're arguing about how to break that up, and we're all having confusion because we don't have a piece of paper in front of us that lets us get unconfused, which I think Christine
But
was.
that's the problem, Steve. We're not trying to figure out how to break the 491 up. We're trying to address a few members of the staff that need to be bumped up a
What
little.
do we
So
have,
it would
four?
be
Let's have
above,
our-
But is it
it would be
included in the
above, no,
491?
no, it would be above the 491.
Right.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying, I need it, it's,
Right.
we're not talking 3,000 employees and it'd be
Right.
really time
What do we have,
consuming to
5?
do this.
4?
Can we take a look at what employees we're actually talking about? Give me their all in what they are at today.
Mhm.
Give me the all in on what you're proposing.
Yep.
Give me that delta,
Will
and
do.
then give me the Pepe.
So we have something to look at in
Which
between.
is the justification, because the Pepe is only the salary too. So, I mean, I think it's the all in that really, and make it on a fiscal year basis, not on an anniversary basis, not on just an all year basis, because going forward, that's what it's.
I can give you what it's gonna be in the next year, but I
Yeah.
can't give you future years
Yeah, no,
because I
no,
don't know what
no,
the
no.
percentages
That's
are gonna be
okay.
for
Yeah,
FRS and things like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know
because
what
then
health
we can
insurance
address
is
it
gonna be.
each
I don't
time.
know what
Yeah,
anything
we can
is.
address
No,
that each
absolutely,
time.
but you understand when you're looking at people's anniversary, it's, you're not getting a full picture of really what
Yep.
we're talking about.
Right.
No, I can definitely do that for you.
I think it would make it clearer because we have all this here, but like Christine said, we've got 5-ish people that we're discussing and we all agree that we need to do something about it, but this gets very complicated.
I can do that for you.
That would be great.
If you're looking at maintenance one, the salary range that we have, the current salary range is 39.5 to 60. And if you look at the survey sheet, it's 30,000 to 46,000, so we're way higher.
That one's, yeah, that's the only one that, we're
I
You
know.
higher,
picked the right one.
we're higher on.
Where's Billy?
That's the only one.
He left.
Yeah.
Well, no, and they're not even talking, he's not talking about Billy's position,
I
he's
know.
talking about the
Yeah,
part-time maintenance.
yeah, he's talking about the
Yeah.
parks guy, the parks and
Yeah.
rec guy.
But you know, this is basically, that's where I was going with this
Yep.
whole thing. Just-
Is there any way we could do like we've done many times, Palm Beach County? We do the towns that are commensurate with the size of the,
That's what we said.
this towns like we've
Yep.
done for
We said.
forever in this town. And then take some larger towns and take some smaller towns. And that way you have a thing. But what gets me, we do this all every year, except for when I wasn't here. You guys did it. But we do it every year. Every year, all of a sudden, we're so low in every other town. How's that possible? That every year we're so low in
It's
the other
poker.
town and we do the
Poker.
Yeah,
same
it does.
Because they're
thing.
giving so much more.
Well, they're
Well,
giving,
focus.
they,
We haven't addressed it.
Part of it is they're
they do and they don't. Sometimes
Yes,
too,
everybody's
sometimes-
competing against each other.
In the last week.
But you get 5%, we give 5% as they top out when you do your
Evaluation.
evaluation.
Mhm.
So
But we have to stay current because
Yeah,
we
but
want to
see,
hire
like-
the best. You have
Right,
to
that's
stay
my
current.
point. So the point is, if I'm in Palm Beach
know, I
County,
heard, I
which is
heard.
one of the richest counties in the whole state of Florida, can we at least see what, I mean, this Pepe thing, I have to admit, I just want to see what's going on in Palm Beach County.
Yep.
What is Malapan doing? What is
Right.
South Palm Beach doing? You know, okay, even what Delray doing, because Delray's a big place.
Yeah, we said that. That's exactly what we said, is that
I
we
know,
need
but
to
that's
see our
not, you
next.
just know, that was not going to be the consensus of what you're saying. We were saying about having this survey here. I don't like this survey. I don't like anything about it.
No,
I don't-
we had the other layer of.
Yeah,
what-
we
Let's
had
do-
that.
local
Yeah.
No, just do
Okay.
Palm Beach. Was that the consensus, just Palm Beach County?
What do you mean?
To you, when you come for this survey, that's what you're going to do?
I mean, I can, if that's what you,
That
if
wasn't
The
the
local.
consensus.
that's
when I
what you'd
told
like
you.
me to do, I'll do that.
That's
Sure,
what you
right.
need to do. It needs to be within this county, because if I'm living here
No, we
and I want to
said-
get a job, I mean, I might go down to Broward. I may even go up to Martin, but that's about it. I'm not going across the state. I mean, let's face it,
You're not coming
Well,
every morning from
Loxahatchee.
Fort Myers?
yeah.
Waxahachie
I'm not
Grove.
driving from Palm Beach County to Fort Myers.
So Tracy, we all want to work together on this and we'd
Absolutely.
like to get it in there and get it done. But I think we need to be simplified.
Yep.
We need to have apples to apples. That's what we said in the beginning.
So are you looking for a placeholder, are you, right now, just to put in the budget, which would help you kind of, or,
Nope, I can do the research and we can address it at our next meeting.
okay.
All
We
right.
have
Because,
plenty
I
of
mean-
time still.
Okay, But, you know, we're still comparing this, you know, is it more important than Old Ocean signs? Obviously, yes. More
So-
important than a speed bump on Fayette? Obviously, yes. More important than a generator? I don't know.
So let's find out.
I
what
know,
we're
I
gonna
think
do.
You put it
Those
all
would
in
be
and then you
equally
say, okay.
important because we don't need a generator if we don't have any more stuff.
Well, you need one for dispatch.
They're all equipped, we don't need
Right, so we're all
everything.
on the same page. We recognize what you're saying. We needed a little more clear and simplified to let us say, yes, let's do this and go forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The other request that I had, and I have to tell you
Yes,
this
please do.
because it was a request from staff, they want another position in the front office.
You just hired
God,
the
gosh,
Kathy
I mean,
replacement.
with the small.
Oh, no, that was a
That's a
replacement. That's
replacement.
not the same thing.
This is getting ridiculous.
That's not the same thing. Let's,
Well,
let's,
we
before
got
we
to
even
just-
What
go
would that be
there,
called?
are we looking at,
A receptionist.
right, someone to let the deputy town clerk do deputy town clerk business,
Correct.
right? Not spend the time talking to, introducing, and answering the phone.
So could a receptionist be part-time because technically our front town hall is only open from 8:30 to 3?
Yes.
It's a good idea.
Now,
Oh,
based
oh.
on what we're doing, and this comes back to something that I'm trying to really get to. Hopefully over the next few years, we can get to that point. By doing more software, by doing more automation, we're trying to relieve some of the
Yes.
workloads, the manual workloads that staff has in front
Yes.
office in order to maximize the time that they really need to spend hands-on.
Yes.
By doing that, by us investing more into computer systems, more into hardware, software, will that eliminate that position or then that need for that extra position?
We won't know yet, but we should know the answer to that next year once we get that implemented and figure out how it's going to impact the front.
How much
desk.
time it's gonna alleviate from everybody doing
Yes.
everybody else's work.
Yeah, and I think in the first year, probably it's going to be more of a training. We have to train the contractors.
Mhm.
we'll
I
have to
understand that the
train
transition
everybody
is
to
gonna
get-
be hard,
Right,
but-
Right.
exactly.
Are you talking that new system, the 40 grand system?
Well, we're talking the 40 grand system with
Several
the
systems.
building
We just put that
department
in, which
system.
It's
know,
supposed to
building
Right,
department
right.
has a
alleviate all our
huge
problems.
upgrade
Could we also-
I also
Could
think,
we also, excuse me one second, Steve, let's stay on his, Martin's thing. Could we also, with this survey, include staff of the towns, of the small towns that we have,
How many staff they have.
how many staff they
Yeah,
have, and what is their position? I mean,
That's a good idea.
and that way we can get an idea. I mean, are we under, are we that far under, or are we that far over?
Sure.
I mean, it kind of gives an idea of where, if we don't know.
Yeah, we'll call
That can't
around and
hurt,
find
absolutely.
out. Because though that kind of information isn't on the
Right.
salary
It's not.
surveys where we can get, so we'll have to make some phone calls around
Mhm.
and figure it out.
See what the other staffs
Yeah.
are
Just so
are
you
staffing.
know, I can count off the top of my head, there's,
You really can't, how do I do that?
it's magic.
You're
There's at
using the
least,
calculator.
there's at least 6 front office folks in Gulfstream, and they handle none of their own permitting or
Right, that's handled through Delray.
inspections or
Yep.
anything else like
It's in
that.
there, it's 60.
Yes, there are.
Mhm.
They wouldn't let you in.
I get it buzzed in.
Yeah,
So,
no.
So I think
know.
that's a good idea. Again, let you see that what it takes to run a town this size, right?
the other thing that should be taken into consideration there is that, because I know that our staff is doing more than their position in order to fill a position that is not hired at the moment or is in transition or whatever, for whatever reason. So again, let's put a goal to it. The goal
Yeah,
should
right.
be that we have staff that are happy with their position, that are getting paid adequately for the work that they're doing. And that should take away that turnover. And when you take away the turnover and you have filled positions and everybody is there, then hopefully that does not require an additional position.
True, but we
In-
don't have huge turnover. That's
No,
not the
yeah,
problem
just
we're
Yeah,
trying
we-
to solve.
I know.
It's not the problem
Yeah.
we're trying to solve.
I think we should
Then
also
also
take
with
a
the last 2
serious
years,
look
we
at
had
the
a
monthly
couple of-
reports required by the people that work in this town. For instance, Billy, it's ridiculous. He's writing a 4 to 5 page report every month. Tracy was writing a weekly, but now she's shortened it to save
At
her
your
time.
request, yeah.
Correct. And then we also have the town engineer now writing a report, which is kind of hilarious because we're paying the town engineer to write a report that we don't need. So
see how
we got a
much
lot of
money
this
is spent.
bureaucratic stuff that is crept in here that doesn't need to be done.
I think
Which
it's,
would save
I
time.
think it's informational, and I don't necessarily agree it doesn't need to be done. Can everything be maybe
Streamlined?
streamlined? Possibly, but yes, we need to be up to date on what's going on. When Billy
That's
does
why we have a
his,
town
that's how we
manager.
know. Well, she can't do Billy's. He's telling you
Well,
what
no.
he's, and how would we know that he needs more people and he's stretched too thin if we don't see all that he's doing?
Well, that's micromanaging.
Yeah.
I mean, that gets to the point where that's what we hire him for, and he explains to us, this is what I need. Do I need to look at every single person he has and where they're at? And
I'm gonna guess that's mostly not everything he
what's her
does
name?
there, though.
When Lisa does her report, everything she did over the whole, why would I need that? If I don't have faith in the people
But part
who
of
are
that
doing it,
was,
let me finish. If I don't have faith in the people doing it, then what do I have them for? I mean, this is a body that makes the big decisions, not sits here. You can, if that's something you want, and you want somebody to take that time to do that, it costs the town money, right? You want more information.
I think that started because of all the work that we started doing, additional work that we had Lisa doing. All of a sudden, her, Trepeppe's bills went from $10,000 a month to $40,000 a month, and everybody went, whoa, what's
Yeah, what are you
going on?
doing?
Oh, I got that, but that's what this person here is for. That's the town manager.
Right.
She finds out what that is. She comes up here and says, the reason for that is this, 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 and this.
Okay.
If you're now deciding that you're going to become some kind of quasi town manager, each one of you, and look at all this information and then ask the questions, you can. But I just don't think it's necessary. I think you've got to the point.
I'm guessing we don't get half of everything that's written there. I think they're just gonna give us a portion of what they're
Again,
doing.
I think taking away the reports is not the meat of what we're discussing.
Yeah.
That's not gonna, if that
That's not gonna
saves
save
an
us a bunch.
hour or 2 hours a week from somebody,
That's
So what?
Say,
That's a
how
lot
much
of
is we
time.
charge her per hour? How much she charges per hour?
okay, so Lisa is different because she's outside.
That's
but I
what
mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
one of my
and I'm
points.
pretty
Come out
sure
of
that
staff.
Billy does what all of us would do if we've got a 4-page report. You just update what needs to be updated. You don't write that report each and every month. You're just giving, I mean.
I'm just saying that every
It's bureaucracy
nickel
we don't
creates
need.
a dollar. Every time there's a nickel, more dollars. And you guys, and you're sitting there doing your calculator and doing all these things. We need signs and this and that. I think, pennies make dollars. And a lot of times these people are too much on the paperwork when in fact they should be outside doing the jobs they're supposed to be doing outside. Or Lisa doing what she should be outside. Whatever you want, I had to have a different opinion on it.
No,
I know we just made,
I'm
how do we like slough along all those years before, but now I have to
Can
have
we-
so much
can we
information I
ask-
can
Let's
barely
move
see
forward.
it.
Let's
Yeah.
move forward.
Can we ask the town manager, just ask your staff how much time it takes to write the reports? And if they're, if it's redundancy and it's too much, then
But
that's her decision, right?
it's her decision, but she should have made the decision. If she says, look, I think this is taking way too much time, and she'd tell you, but see, the problem is a lot of times there's pressure from commissioners. I want to see this and I want to see this and I want to see this. I'm just saying in my particular case, I think sometimes we're creating too much paperwork for the commissioners when it comes down to, you don't need all this paperwork. I mean, it's
So we're talking
copious
two
amount of
reports.
paperwork.
2 reports is.
The last book was this thick.
Okay,
of
that
paper.
wasn't reports. That was the backup for.
Right,
Back up.
That was a
And I
waste
think we all
management
said that.
contract.
exactly, right?
Just
It
the-
was
the
the waste
machine
management.
from the printer we needed a printer. We need this one.
Okay,
No
so
kidding.
we solved that situation though, because I think all of us
When did
individually
we
said.
solve that situation?
Because I talked about it in my staff meeting, I said, I don't need it. I said, give it to me online. If I want to read it, I'll read it. I don't
But why
need,
couldn't
The
you?
contracts.
yeah.
Yeah, that was, anyway, let's move forward here. We can talk about all the little things that bother us, but we could be here for about a week. So, moving forward, we are going to get a report that's going to be a little, I've got to use the word. We're going to get something that's going to help us understand a little bit easier and more concise, apples to apples on staff manning in the similar towns and salaries and where you think we need to go, right?
Yes.
And then we can
At your
have
next
something,
budget meeting, yes.
right.
Okay.
Okay?
And please let staff know that they have been heard.
Yes.
Yes, that's,
We
there you
have
go.
one sitting right here, so.
Two.
Three.
I'm sorry, we got
Oh, I
three.
didn't
These
see Lisa.
4. I didn't even see Lisa sneak
Yeah, we
in.
have
Betty, you're now on
She works here
payroll.
too.
Yes,
Case closed.
And you have Jean. and-
yes, no,
and
I'm
Jean.
counting them right here. Absolutely. You're heard. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know that. I tell you all the time. We appreciate y'all. So now we need to show it, but we need a little bit more concise
data.
information to support.
Yep.
So we can do it the right way and the right time. Correct? All righty then. Lowly. Where do we stand here now? Where shall we go next? Since we've kind of jumped all over the place here. I love it when we just go top to bottom.
I do not have anything else unless you all do.
Yeah, there's something in your report, Tracy. Item number 1,
Which one?
about 7 or 8 down. Expenditure, general government, other contractual services, which is up for commission discussion. I believe that's the only one.
We already discussed that one, right?
It's on your item number 1. I
With the
present,
lobbies?
Oh, the lobbyists?
Yep.
Sorry, yep.
which, by the way, we just spent 40,000 on hardware to help out Gene.
Right?
It has nothing to do with
Yeah,
lobbyists.
one.
Well, it's 40,000. I'm
Oh, you're just
against.
looking at
That's how you
numbers?
really feel.
It's the truth. It's like apples and bananas.
Okay, so what would you like to say about that?
Well, I'm not a fan of spending $40,000 on a lobbyist. I think I voiced this last
You
time.
did.
And I think this is in the budget now, Tracy?
No,
No.
And we're already 41,000 over budget.
oh,
Without,
sorry, it is, sorry. Add an expenditure line item for a lobbyist in the amount of 40,000. Yes, we did. It's in
So
general.
if we-
Okay, so we had that discussion, yes.
So I'd prefer to see that money go for either staff personnel bump or part-time office position or something else. So I was the one that made the request. I would happily withdraw.
I second the consensus.
I'm still for a lobbyist. I think we're gonna need everything we can get for, Tracy,
So-
perfect example was when we spoke about some of the money that was floating around that Lois Frankel was discussing. And in order to get in line, and what did Bryony get? 30,000? 300,000, right?
330.
In order to get in line for this money, and Lois says it's out there, we have to, and do we have extra staff to do this work?
I know, it's
We
a
have
real, it's a
agreement.
crapshoot though.
I know,
Highland
you
Beach
never
got
can be sure.
nothing And they have a lobbyist.
I know, but
it
we
is a
discussed the
crapshoot.
concept, is this the number that we talked about if we shared a lobbyist?
Correct.
It's not, but you can't share one. If you hire a lobbyist, they're gonna work for you and they're gonna work something different for someone else. You don't share
So,
them.
so my thought when I initially
Contract with
brought
them.
this up was to partner with other towns specifically on septic to sewer. So we would work with potentially not a Highland Beach because they're almost all already
Mhm.
converted, but with the Gulf Stream. I think a part of South Palm Beach is still on septic also, to work with those like towns so that lobbyist would be going in and singing the exact same song, but for all three,
Right.
this conglomerate of towns.
They'll be singing the same song, but they have to meet with different representation.
Gotcha.
You understand?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's gonna cost them more
If we stay on the Barrier Island though, we're almost all covered by the same districts, are we not?
If the redistricting.
Right, are
goes
we getting
through,
a
we will not
change?
be Anymore.
Yeah, we're getting a change. All right, I'm in
So
favor.
XNA on the lobbyist? Or what are we doing?
Well, we're talking about it, so
So
you've changed your mind. We know Steve is against it. I think lobbyist is worth the money.
we
Where we're
also
going.
have a grant writer that we work with, who goes after the same money that this guy would be going after.
Well, they write our
Yeah.
grants,
Yeah.
they don't lobby.
One doesn't
for
go
them.
after him. The
But
other
he
one writes
alerts
the
us to the grants available
Correct.
and then writes.
grant.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's what, this is, I think this is one of the issues, actually, and that's the catch-22 there. We have somebody that writes the grant, we have somebody that basically does the legwork for it, but then we don't have that representation
sell
that
it.
actually takes this grant work that we have paid for
Mhm.
and walks it into a representative's office and says, here, you need to be looking at this.
Right.
Right.
This is really important. Where's the money for this? And pushes that piece of paper on top of the pile, and it gets somewhere lost in the whole thing along with all the other municipalities. So I'm torn because it's a lot of money.
If we nix it, we're only $1,000 over budget.
I,
How much?
No,
1,000.
but we might be
no, because
300,000 short on
we're
grants.
still,
That's right,
I
thank you.
I can't, my head can't
Yeah.
get around the add-on.
Let's look at the big
Okay.
picture. So therefore,
I think this would be, given where we are, I think this would be a good year to actually give this a shot.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say delay.
No, to give
No.
it a shot.
I agree.
Because I do, unfortunately, and I say this with all conviction, unfortunately, I don't think lobbies should exist, period. But it's
But now
The
you
It's
reality
a fact
of
of
life.
life, yeah, it's a fact.
So-
the reality of life. This is what it is. This is how this whole game is being played. So, you gotta play with what you have. And
is the majority of grants that we're going after have to do with septic to sewer? Or what does it have to do with? I'm still back to if we could find 2 or 3 other municipalities, even if they were contiguous and not exactly in the same thing, but it was the same issue. So this person really becomes an expert in seawall rise, seawall level heights or.
Resiliency.
Yeah,
right.
Resiliency, and then septic to sewer, and also potable water
Right.
infrastructure, depending on what you do with.
that would be huge.
Right.
Your,
Exactly
I
right.
mean, if we end up keeping our
But
pipes
that's
and
our
we're looking at trying to get a $5 million bond to do it because.
That's what that grant
coalition
guy's
thing
doing.
that- Isn't that coalition preservation thing that they used to be around here, that's still around?
Yeah, I'm sitting right here, big red.
Oh, there you
Oh
go.
my
What you
God.
worried for?
So is
Are you being a
so
wise
you were a
guy?
lobbyist?
He is.
He
I'm not a
is, he really
lobbyist.
is.
That's the one part we don't do.
Right.
I don't know, $5,000 would be my number for the lobbyist. I mean, that's 20 hours worth of work and $400, whatever it is. How many?
I don't think you get any lobbyists for $5,000.
No.
Well,
I mean,
again,
no,
if
it's
you,
just
if
in
you
the
go back,
budget.
if you go back
It's just in the
to-
budget if you're gonna pay somebody, you know what I mean?
Don't
If you're
even-
putting in money in the budget. I mean, 20 grand, or 40, how much is it?
40.
40 is insane.
40. It
Annual.
depends
Way
on
too
what
much.
comes
Annual.
out of it.
I can do a lot of stuff with $40,000. You do signs.
Oh my God.
I'm reversing my position. I'd
Thank
like
you.
to see 20,000 put in, and I'd like for us to drill down a little bit further as to whether we could make it issue specific versus, I think that's where you're gonna get the bigger bang for your buck anyways. And I agree with Martin, if it's driven by our grant, what we're applying for grants for, then it's not a shot in the dark. And we might need, if we could, again, the whole idea germinated from if we have shared issues on the barrier island, which we all do, whether it's sea wall heights or resiliency, that we're all working together, because each one of our small little towns going in and going up to Tallahassee, it's not making a punch. It's not making a hill of beans a difference. So,
I agree. I'd like to keep it in. You want to cut it in half?
just to try, I mean, to see if we could even get anybody that
Yeah.
would be specific to, have staff identify the one issue that they think the most grants are coming about and make the most impact.
All right, so to move on, 10 grand or 20 grand is your number?
Oh, nice
I'm in
try.
for 20.
You're in for 20?
Nice try.
You're going to 20?
I'll go with 20 because it's in the budget.
I'm a no.
Okay,
20.
Well,
That's all we're
it's
getting.
not-
I'll take the 20.
okay.
If that's all we're getting, I'll take the 20. I don't know how much we're gonna get out of 20, but 20 beats zero.
Well, now we can take 20 off of the 530.
Now we're at only 21,000.
It's called
over budget.
contingency.
No,
people.
because it was already in at 40. So you're taking 20 out.
That's what I did.
Yeah, we're 19 plus.
Yeah.
We're
19 plus.
41,000.
Moving at the signs.
No, you're going the wrong way.
No, I'm reducing it. We're only 20,000 under budget now. Over
No.
budget, excuse me.
No.
Which one?
Alrighty then. Okay.
Zero. No, you're.
Mr.
Zero.
Wizard,
Steve.
settle down.
Zip.
All right, so anything else in Tracy's budget presentation that we need to discuss? Everybody's looked through those 10 times, I'm sure. Okay.
I still think, and you may think it's not a significant number, but if we're getting ready to spend $15,000 or $20,000 on signs or something else on Old Ocean, I think we need a placeholder for it.
On what?
The signs on Old Ocean.
And speed bumps.
She's thinking to put
But
some
not
money
only
into
the,
the budget.
we
Well,
really need one on
we're gonna discuss that at
Yeah.
tonight's meeting, so why don't we
I
discuss
mean,
it
you
at
blink
tonight's
and
meeting?
you're past.
Yeah, it just depends on whether,
We're-
sorry.
Let's discuss it at tonight's meeting, and then if the consensus is to move forward with something, then I'll come back in your
And-
budget for next.
Well, if everybody's sitting out front of it, the consensus is gonna be moving forward with, I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's face it, let's be honest with yourselves. Everybody, you know, that one thing that people are looking at is the signage. Why wait? Just put the, what do you wanna put in there? How much you wanna put in there?
Let's have our discussion. We're not signing our budget tonight. Let's do the
No, I'm saying
discussion
you're
and
having
put
a
it on the
discussion
next
right now,
one.
so put some money in there, and then that way it's in the budget.
Well, what's
And
it,
then when-
Tracy, do you remember?
When it comes up to the
The
next
signs were
budget
like
meeting,
$450 a piece or so.
No, 7.
So
It's $700 a
$15,000.
pop?
Yeah,
times 10, right?
Signs,
$7 grand.
Signs are literally going between $420 and
Mm-hmm.
$750.
Are you talking the wood ones?
Yeah.
yes.
But I thought there was some discussion of switching some out to the aluminum.
I made
Which
the
is-
We're going to be having the
recommendation. We looked at that,
conversation.
but it didn't seem like.
Is that including labor, taking them out, put them in?
I think we're gonna do that in-house.
In-house, really?
The electrician's gonna put
Is
it.
that part of the electrician?
Save you some money.
I was just
Probably,
waiting
yeah,
on that.
particularly with postal lasers, you know, you guys have seen that before.
Okay, then.
Well, it's been a long time since we put signs out there, hasn't it?
So there's no consensus on doing them in aluminum instead of the wood ones?
I think you do a
Isn't that a
mix.
discussion we're going to
So
have?
that's what we had for a discussion at our last meeting, and it was really important to the community to keep the character of the street.
Right.
But that was Old
No,
Ocean.
That's what we're
But-
talking about.
Right now, no, but there
What
were
we
signs
can-
requested for the entrance roads that lead to Beachway,
That's correct.
and
Yeah.
those do not need to be wooden signs.
That's the ones you would want, wouldn't you?
I
No.
believe
No.
that was what the group said.
Right, they wanted.
So if we want to go back against that, not a problem. We're going
Well,
to have that discussion
How much
tonight.
the aluminum
correct?
cost, what, 200,
Oh,
$100?
Aluminum signs are
I
cheap.
put the
You
money-
can get them all day long from different vendors, pre-printed for, $30
So
to
Christine, you won't cry if we don't put the
Well,
money
What
to
we
it.
just-
Just do
what
it.
we had discussed
We'll keep
was
this going.
signs that looked very similar to the wood signs, that could even be as thick as a wood sign, out of composite materials or other materials that are not wood, but could be printed as if they are wood, or look compatible to our wood signs, which would retain the character, but are much more cost effective than a carved wood sign.
Just
hand
depends
painted.
on what the direction of the
Right,
commission is.
so
I mean,
can we-
look at different
Let's see,
options.
I
We're
guess
going,
what-
we're going, wait a minute, stop,
So
hold.
We're gonna have more.
This is one of the very few, we have a very small commission meeting coming at 6. This is one of the items. Let's have that discussion then. Let's finish budget world, which isn't really finished, but we don't need to.
But it is,
We don't need
but
to
it's
beat
a
this one.
budget issue. It's going to be a budget issue.
Well, let's
So
have the-
my
let's have the
suggestion is, why don't we
discussion.
have this consensus to put 10 grand in here and move on? That way, when we're at the meeting tonight, when everybody talks about it, say, well, we did put 10 grand into the budget
for
so-
signs.
for the sign, so we are moving forward for it. So you're actually being proactive before you're waiting for people to come up here. That's the whole point. That's
Well,
what
no,
makes
this is,
people
I
feel
get it.
good.
This is what Christine said and nobody jumped at it. So I was just trying to
But
move
it's
us.
not true.
Isn't
It's
that
not
what you
true.
said?
What is that we've already, her and I both said, let's put it in the budget. That's why we brought it back up. So let's put it in, but 10 grand good for you?
Great.
10 grand good for you guys?
999.
Yeah, right. Let's
$9.99
stay a little
fine.
longer. Martin?
I would go up to 15, but yeah, whatever.
So,
We have a consensus.
Close
Okay.
enough.
10 or more, how's that?
Okay, so I have a recap. Tell me if I've missed anything, okay? Harbor Drive North drainage, 250,000.
Mhm.
Finance software, 40,000 plus the 10.5 for maintenance of it. Town hall generator, 150,000. Lobbyist, decreased by 20, 220, okay? Decrease 40 to 20.
Correct.
Public Works 1 will start the new position out at 62,000. Signs on Old Ocean, 10,000.
I'm just saying signs, because they might
Just
be
signs, it
shared,
might-
they might be shared with
Yeah,
a sign
just
or two.
leave it at
for Fayette.
signs.
Just
right,
leave it at
because they're going to
signs.
encompass the ones that are going into the streets too, right?
Did I miss anything?
I
No,
think you got
because
it.
you're gonna
2 hours
cut.
of our life.
Oh, good lord. You're gonna wanna jump back on the dais, buddy.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what it's all about.
What life are we talking about?
What life are we
I don't
talking
have a life
about?
anymore.
All right, then,
So the only other thing is that obviously we are going to revisit the staff personnel bump and the front office position.
right.
But I'm asking, we are still gonna have the discussion on signs at the commission
Yes.
meeting.
Correct,
Absolutely.
yes.
Because it's more than just signs.
Correct.
Well, it's mostly signs.
Right, mostly signs.
I need
Okay,
food.
have we covered everything we were hoping to cover for this afternoon?
Yes, but now you
But-
need to move on to
Yes,
your
but-
item number 2.
Yep.
on your
Millage,
agenda.
yeah, that's why
That's my
I try to
phone
move you
already.
people
I'm gonna do
moving.
amendment number
But
2.
no,
So
yeah.
your
we
item
got
rollback
And
That's
we have
just
to
a
set the
yes.
minimum millage
It's
rate.
at your maximum village.
All right.
So according to the truth and millage guidelines, you have to set your rollback rate for your millage for FY '23, and we have to do it at this meeting.
All right,
And the rollback rate is 4.7698. That's not something that you choose, that is your rollback rate.
Okay,
So
I
I just
move to
need-
certify the rollback rate at
Second,
Well, she has to go through the whole motion. I
Yeah,
have to have
yes,
it on record.
yes,
47698 per thousand for fiscal year 2022-23, and that the certification of taxable value form be executed to reflect this for the submission to the property appraisers and tax collector of Palm Beach County and the State Department of Revenue.
second,
Third.
shall we all say aye, or do we need to call the
Aye.
roll?
No, you
All
don't
right,
have to call
everybody in
roll.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion
Okay, so
carries.
now you need to move on to number 3, it's setting your maximum millage rate.
we decided
So
by,
when you set your maximum millage rate, just remember, you can never go above that. You can come down from that as much as you want, but you can't go above that. But I think this year, because the values went so high, you don't want to set it more than 5.
so can I make a motion?
Yes.
Yep.
I
Would
move to
you?
establish the maximum millage rate for FY 22/23 at 5.5 mils. And that this be included on the certification of taxable value form that is forwarded to the property appraiser and tax collector of Palm Beach County and the State Department of Revenue.
Second,
All right, everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Anything else?
So we've got
Sushi.
maximum rate. All right, I'll entertain a motion
I'm getting hungry.
in the mess.
Motion.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn?
You're
Yes.
gonna add to
No,
this.
you don't really. Why don't you just call it
So
adjourned?
things that make town lose
Adjourn.
soil, but also they make town lose soil.